PNRNetworks is a member of Patreon. Show your love for our shows by joining our ongoing fundraising campaign and get some fantastic perks in return. Check it out and become a Patreon sponsor. You can sign up at patreon.com, patreon.com/PNRNetworks. And thanks for your support.
This podcast is a member of the Blueberry Network. Blueberry. No E's. That's Blueberry, BLUBRRY.com. Blueberry.com.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
Welcome to Marvelous May. Well, almost. And we have a whole bunch of stuff all throughout the next month that's going to be special programs all the way leading up to something really special we're going to talk about next week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited. We're going to start off with what we always kick off May with, even though it's not quite May.
Of course.
Which is what?
Buying a giant hat!
What? No.
Buying a giant hat for the Derby next week. I have to have a hat.
Okay, fine. But we're not actually going. If you want to sit in the living room and wear your silly hat for the Derby, we can do that. I have to have a hat
that's at least 3 foot high and has sparklers and moving figures on it.
Oh, well, then call Johnny Weir. I'm sure he can find one for you. Anyway, we got all 100 plus films hitting theaters between this coming weekend and Labor Day. It is the annual Summer Blockbuster Movie Preview. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
Stay tuned for fun.
Here on Subject Cinema.
Stand by to receive our transmission.
This town needs an enema.
Celebrating a decade of film podcasting. Lasting out of Beantown, USA, you're tuned into Subject Cinema with T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown.
Directive.
Oh, behave. Yeah.
I volunteer as tribute.
Suppose you run your business and let me run mine. Here's looking at you, kid.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome TC and Kim.
Springtime is here.
It is.
Is there a song we can sing to celebrate springtime? No, there isn't.
No, not really. Not for May.
No.
I mean,
it's not really
showers.
May yet.
It's
but
April
it will be
showers, but...
May in a day. That's what that's going to be. Welcome to Subject Cinema. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I am Kim Brown.
We apologize for being gone for so damn long.
Yeah.
It's her fault.
It is.
She got sick with a stomach flu, and then she got sick with a cold.
Yep.
Back to back. She had 2 days or so in between.
Yeah.
So we've missed all of our shows, and my only excuse for Catastrophe Vortex is I'm going crazy with the Boston Springs Festival stuff, which finally comes to an end later this week. Yeah. So it's going to be crazy.
And
but we're back.
My voice is still kind of funky, so I'm really sorry that it's.
You said that last night on when you recorded Platinum Rose's Garden, and you sound fine. There's nothing wrong with your voice.
Well, I still think it sounds scratchy to me.
I don't think so.
But anyway,
this is the first of several big shows we're going to do. Although it's Subject Cinema number 564, day and date April 30th, 2017. We're technically considering this Marvelous May because May starts tomorrow.
Yep.
And all throughout May, we have got some really interesting stuff lined up for you. Later on in the show, we'll tell you about what's coming up the next 2 weeks. We're going to revisit 2 of our old topic shows from 2009, 2010. Because they desperately need an update. I was listening to the older ones on our app this week, and it's like, wow, these were really good, but they're out of date. We need to update these, so we'll talk about that. And then we have something starting on Memorial Day that you're going to love. We're not going to talk about that till next week. This week, however, here's the Entertainment Weekly, and it's worthless this year. Entertainment Weekly has done their summer movie preview, and they've cut it off at the end of July. Now, I'm sorry, The last time I looked, August was summer too. Yes, I know that's the month where all the crap gets released, but still, it's still part of stuff. And they've missed over 50 movies on their list. So we're restructuring. We have the information, and we're going to talk all about the Summer Movie Blockbuster Preview, which is what this show is all about. As I said, Subject Cinema number 564. And it's going to be a lot of fun because there's a lot of blockbusters coming out. There's a number of sleepers you're going to need to keep your eyes on. And this is the season that usually brings us, Kim and I, movies that we start thinking about for the end of the year.
Yep.
Last year, I saw Little Men a year ago this Tuesday, and it was stuck with me for the rest of the year. Even though it didn't come out till August. See, there's a great movie that came out in August, so they really screwed August over.
They did.
Anyway, what we're going to do a little bit different this year, and we're actually probably not going to tell you the dates. I might find a way to do it at the end of the show. We'll have a list of the dates and the titles coming up on the website later this week because there are over 100 titles. I want to put them in order of the dates by category, and it's not going to be easy. So I have not had time to do it because I've been, as I said, Boston Springs the festival everywhere. IFFB is going on right now, and there's all kinds of stuff going on. So it's kind of crazy. But we're going to do it in categories this year instead of just doing it by date because we think that that'll make it a little bit more focused for you guys. Mm-hmm. And we're going to start it off with the category that the show is named for. The films... Oh, by the way, I went through all the titles here, and the ones that weren't listed, came up with all the titles coming out this summer, and I've divided them into several categories. These are my classifications, and Kim and I will discuss a couple of them that she does not agree about when we get to them. The first category is looking like blockbusters.
Yep.
These are the movies that have big budgets that will be coming out from all the major studios, and these are the ones that actually look like they're going to be major money makers.
Yes, they do.
We'll get to underperforming blockbusters in a few minutes. Mm-hmm. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15 of these.
Yes.
And I'm going to throw the titles at you, and we'll talk about them a little bit. So mark these down. These are the films that we think are going to be the biggest movies of the summer. Mm-hmm. Starting with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume Blah.
Stop it!
Volume 2, sorry. Opens this Friday, May 5th, day and date.
I do wish you would knock that the hell off. I'm sorry. The next saga in the Marvel movie universe, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, is the continuing adventures of Star-Lord, Gamora, Drax the Destroyer, Rocket, and Groot. And their continuing adventures with other characters coming in as well, as including Chris Pratt's Star-Lord, Peter Quill, the person that was his foster father / kidnapper, Yondu, played by Michael Rooker, the character Mantis, who I'm very interested to see on the big screen, and Star-Lord's real father, so that should be interesting. But of course, all of this stuff is pretty much secondary to two words, in my opinion: Baby Groot.
I knew she was going to say that.
I am so excited about Baby Groot in this movie because he is just the cuteness. He is just so adorable and cute and sweet and lovable, and I just want to pick him up and squeeze him.
And I'm going to have to put up with this all weekend.
Yes, you are. Deal with it.
I'll be there. I don't have a choice.
No, you don't.
I'm a film critic. I was one of the few lonely ones out there that didn't like the last one.
I mean, it would be nice if you would stop turning your nose up at it before it even comes out, but, you know.
Okay. King Arthur, Legend of the Sword.
Yes. King Arthur, Legend of the Sword is another take on the mythos of Excalibur.
The reason it's getting... this has been floating around among the gossip columnists the last few weeks. Jeffrey Wells of Hollywood Elsewhere is particularly disdainful about this. Mm-hmm. But it is opening the Cannes Film Festival.
Yep.
So that is going to push it a little bit up in the prestige. So carry on.
I don't know how I feel about this. I mean, I've seen the trailer for it.
It's Gerald Butler, isn't it?
What?
Is it Gerald Butler playing? Oh, who?
No, Charlie Hunnam.
Charlie Hunnam, okay.
Charlie Hunnam plays Arthur, who is learning who he is and who he's destined to be, going against Jude Law, who plays the bad guy usurper to the throne in this. And there's magic and mysticism and watery tarts throwing swords at people. Sorry, Monty Python joke. I don't know. I mean, maybe the world is ready for the King Arthur myth again. Beats me.
Since no major King Arthur film has been a hit at the box office, with the exception of Monty Python.
Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Excalibur was a critical hit, but it wasn't a financial hit. And that was the last really huge movie about King Arthur.
I mean, The Sword and the Stone from Disney, while entertaining, really doesn't count.
It's not even that most of the time. It's not one of their better films. The Minions are back, along with Gru. Despicable Me 3.
Yes. Despicable Me 3, the animated threequel to the Despicable Me franchise.
Easy for you to say.
Yes, apparently it is. Which features that wonderful trope that has been done to friggin' death to the point of undeadness.
Evil twin.
Or just twin. Specifically the trope of the long-lost I never knew I had a twin. Hello, I'm your twin thing that's been done on soap operas since time immemorial. And
his mother's always around. How come she never told him he was a twin?
I
know. You see?
Well, if you hadn't noticed, his mother's kind of a bitch.
To him. She loves the girls.
Yeah. Paging Dr. Freud, your thesis is here. Main character Gru, voiced by Stephen Carell, finds out that he has a twin brother named Drew, who is his complete polar opposite.
Also voiced by Steve Carell.
Yes. And they wind up having to band together to fight against the criminal du jour of the film, a former child star from the 80s who has a lot of 80s-themed equipment, dresses like it's still the 80s, is rocking a mullet kind of a look. And, of course, there's Minions.
Minions!
So we know you'll be there with bells on. Anywho.
The Mummy.
Yes.
This trailer creeps me the hell out. I mean, the whole thing with the eyes. I mean, if they're going to do that through the whole movie, I'm not going to be able to. It's really creepy.
I have to say that I am really, really, really looking forward to The Mummy.
Since when? You were ambivalent about it a few weeks ago.
Yeah. And then
what changed your mind?
The second trailer.
Okay.
I was like, this is actually... And the fact that I read a little bit more about where they're going with this. Mm-hmm. Universal is trying to bring back their monster franchise.
Right, yep.
They tried a few years ago with the remake of The Wolfman with Benicio del Toro, which, while it looked really cool, was actually a bit of a disaster.
And a pretty terrible movie from what I heard, so...
I mean, the makeup work was like, holy cannoli, that's great. This is going to be
do we really need a sad sack like Larry Talbot back in the movie universe? Really, seriously? I'm so cursed. He's the original Edward Cullen.
Anyway. Moving back to The Mummy. They've
Who's
decided,
a woman this time?
Yes, they've
Played
decided
by
to
Sophia
do
Botella.
a bit of a gender flip here, as the mummy in this film is Princess Amenet, who is released from her sarcophagus to wreak havoc upon the modern world.
I want my mummy.
Saw that joke come. Are you my mummy? Doctor Who reference for those of you who get it. And it's up to heroic Tom Cruise to stop her, and we know since it's a Tom Cruise...
Oh, sorry. He does well in the Mission Impossible movie.
And we know since it's a Tom Cruise movie, there's going to be a shite ton of running.
Yeah.
Because that's what he does. I just think it looks really interesting, and it's going to be...
Is he going to jump off the tower in Dubai again?
I don't know, but we know he jumps out of a plane.
Oh, well, yeah.
Because the plane kind of falls apart.
Which we saw in World War Z a few years ago, too. So it's like, okay, anyway.
I really think this is going to be interesting because I think it looks like it's going to be a good movie. And also because it's going to be the beginning, the kickoff point of the Universal monster films. They're all going to have interconnecting threads, and they're all going to be part of one universe.
Well, they were before, too, technically. You had the Mummy and Frankenstein and Dracula and all of them, Wolfman, all crossing over into each other's movies. So it was connected before, too.
In certain aspects, yeah. I just think this is going to be interesting the way they're going to do it. But we'll have to wait and see.
Wonder Woman! Da-da-da-da-da-da-da!
Hardly.
No, don't you insult Linda Carter like that.
I'm not insulting Linda Carter. I think Linda Carter's awesome. I think Linda Carter's amazing. I think Gal Gadot could stop traffic. Because she's just...
Yes, her theme song is the only... What many critics to be considered the only good thing to come out of Batman vs. Superman. I don't agree, but it is a great theme.
It is a great theme. She is just phenomenal.
Thank you, Miss Abdul. Co-starring Chris Pine.
Yes,
as Mansell in Distress, Steve Tarver.
This is going to be very, very different from the original origin story of Wonder Woman in the fact that in the original story, Wonder Woman came into the man's world to help fight the Nazis in World War II. In this version of her origin story, they're going back to World War I.
Which many people thought was a worse war, but, you know.
Which actually, when you think about it, actually kind of makes more sense. Mm-hmm. She would have actually gotten involved in something like that, but, you know, it is the way things are. I personally cannot wait to see this because...
No, I think it's going to be awesome.
Wonder Woman is one of my favorite female characters of all time. She's strong, she's smart, she's brave, she's gorgeous. And the fact that they've actually given her more to work with than just the lasso, which is always nifty.
Yeah, she has a sword.
She actually has a sword,
gauntlets
shield,
that are replacing the bracelets that she usually has.
Yeah, which actually...
They operate the same way, but they're longer.
When you think about the gauntlets, that makes so much more sense.
It does. They look really good, too.
It makes more sense, and it also protects more of your arm, especially going up the arteries in your arm.
Right.
So I'm really, 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 really looking forward to Wonder Woman.
There's three major animated films that are going to click big. As we said, Despicable Me 3. The next one, Cars 3. Cars has never been one of the big successful Pixar series, but it does have a loyal, solid following. They do well, and of course Larry Cable Guy's back, and all the usual people back doing the voices.
Yeah.
And
although I do have to say that from the look of things, they've actually taken a very interesting tact, which I think is going to work to their advantage. As the audience for the Cars movies have grown up, so has, from the looks of it, especially from the trailer that they've been running, so has this film. This film is dealing with the idea that, you know, your best days might be behind you. You know, you're an athlete that might have already peaked, and that kind of a thing. And I think that's going to resonate not only with the kids seeing the movie, but the parents who are taking them. So I'm really interested to see how this one does, especially critic-wise.
Yeah. The next one you're way more into than I am, although I thought the trailer was amusing.
I have to be perfectly honest. I was like, why when I heard about it, I
couldn't figure out why they did this as a book, let alone a movie.
Well, it was...
a comic book or whatever it was.
It's a book. It's a book series. I was like, why in the hell are they making a movie about the book series Captain Underpants? And then I saw the trailer, and I'm sorry, I just giggled my head off. I thought it was funny as hell.
Captain Underpants, the first epic movie, is the full title of it.
Based on a book series, Kevin Hart and Thomas Middleditch, voice a pair of kids that go to this school where their principal is very strict. Now, these two kids are the class clowns. They're pranksters, and their pranks get a little bit crazy. I mean, when you're actually involving a live tiger, you've kind of crossed a line. They wind up accidentally hypnotizing...
On purpose.
Accidentally on purpose, sort of, kind of, maybe deliberately. Hypnotizing their very strict principal, and they decide to have fun with this, and they hypnotize their principal to think that whenever a trigger happens, that he thinks that he is their made-up superhero, Captain Underpants, and wackiness ensues. I'm sorry, I laughed myself sick. I thought this looked so funny, doofy and silly and absolutely ridiculous, but there's nothing wrong with that.
It has a built-in audience, and it's going to be a major, major hit.
And
so
I have to say, what I heard, what really sold me on the trailer, I love the vocal chemistry between Kevin Hart and Thomas Middleditch.
Well, I like both of those people a lot anyway, so it's...
I like them too, but they really have a great chemistry together as these two kids. I think they were terrific, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with that.
What can you tell me about It Comes at Night?
To be perfectly honest, I don't know an awful lot about It Comes by Night. I know it is a horror movie.
It has a great cast. It has Joel Edgerton, Chiwetel Ejiofor, right? No, Carmen Ejigo, sorry. Christopher Abbott, who was a award winner at Clickers a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm. I do know that it was actually on a list of films coming out in the summer that are guaranteed to scare the pants off you. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, well that,
it's getting a lot of good critical buzz already. So I think that's gonna.
Yeah. What's the summer without movies that just scare the bejesus out of you? I mean, everyone's it's hot in the summer, so you can use some chills. That's what I say.
Yeah. Atomic Blonde. This has been raved about since it previewed at CinemaCon, I believe. Mm-hmm. Charlize Theron is a kick-ass. She's very good at kick-ass stuff, which we found out from Mad Max, which George Miller has now said he wants to make 3 more of. I don't think you're going to get the 2 of them back together again.
Yeah,
3 more movies.
It's based on a graphic novel about a spy who is sent. Now, this is obviously during the whole Evil Empire era.
Cold War era.
Yeah, that stuff, which I know for a lot of people, you may not remember this. This may come as a shock, but Russia was the bad guys at one point. The whole thing is this spy is sent behind the Iron Curtain.
Dun, dun, dun.
And no, that's not something from Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. To get a list of spies before the evil Soviets do. And there's going to be a lot of kick-assery and mayhem and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And like you said, I mean, we knew that Charlize was a great actress anyway, but she proved she can do the action hero and kick butt kind of stuff because she just blew me away in Mad Max Fury Road. What the soundtrack didn't blow away. She was just really freaking amazing.
Yeah, that soundtrack on that movie was definitely the true definition of the Dolby sound system. The audience is going deaf.
Yeah, seriously. But I mean, she's proven over and over and over again that besides being an incredibly beautiful woman, she's an incredibly good actress. So seeing her in this kind of a role should be really, really interesting.
Okay, what about Girls Trip? This has been talked about as kind of like a hangover for ladies, but they did that with Bridesmaids.
Yeah.
So, and just because this one stars Queen Latifah doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be... I don't know, though. It seems like it's going to be one of the blockbusters because it's getting all kinds of buzz.
Well, it's the whole idea. I think these films tap into a certain area of the movie-going audience. Mm-hmm. It's the whole idea of we're getting the band back together. The whole idea that you find this group of people that you picture the happiest point in your life, whether that was your high school years, which were not mine,
or mine,
or your college years, which were better.
And I didn't have.
But you picture that point in your life where you were surrounded by this group of friends and you were... At that moment, you thought, this is the greatest time of my life. And then you move on, and, you've got wives and kids and families and mortgages and jobs and blah, 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 blah.
And you're listening to Bowling for Soup singing 1985.
Yeah. And you want to go back and you want to recapture that time. And you want to see other people do that too. Sometimes you want to see them succeed and sometimes you want to see them flop. But this does have a really appealing cast besides Queen Latifah. It also includes Regina Hall, Jada Pinkett Smith, Tiffany Haddish. I think it looks like it's going to be really a lot of fun. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, I guess.
The next one on the list is the movie I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, you have been raving about this movie since the first trailer.
No, I've been raving about this since I saw them behind the scenes filming it a year ago. Mm-hmm. And I think it's going to be awesome because the trailer is so freaking amazing. If they can get the movie to look that good, then they got something.
Yeah.
Valerian and the City of the Thousand Planets, starring Dwayne DeHaan and Cara Delevingne, right?
Yeah, Cara Delevingne, yeah.
I can't. We're going to make an exception for this. I already told Kim I want to see this in 4D.
Yep.
Because we don't do the 4D because it hurts. But this one I want to see in 4D. It's God, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets is based on a French comic set in space. It's your whole space opera kind of a thing with a teasing will they or won't they relationship between Dahan and
it's a science fiction young James Bond is what it is.
Yeah,
is what I get from it.
I do have to say though the title just hurts my head. It's
director Luc Besson, who's a huge fan of the comic and has been for most of his life, and so should be interesting. And for once, as we are always saying, it gives Dane DeHaan a chance to step up and play a good guy role. He's 90% of the time playing the bad guy.
Yeah, he either plays bad guys or psychos, so it's actually nice to see him play the hero who may or may not get the girl. My one little problem with this film is the fact that, we sat there and watched the trailer and we were like, holy snit, this is amazing. Can I also bring up the fact that the first couple of times we saw the trailer for, what the hell was the name of that movie? The one with Channing Tatum that I can't think of the name of.
I don't know. Anyway.
We were like, oh, wow, this trailer looks amazing, too. And
I can't believe I said that about anything that Channing Tatum
said. Damn it, what was the name of that movie? I can't think of the name of it now. That's awful. Jupiter Ascending. That was it.
Oh.
Remember that? We both were like, hey, that trailer looked pretty cool. And, oh, wow, it's the Wachowskis. And then we were like,
Eric Lyon liked it.
Yeah, we were like, wait, what? And
I tend to like the Wachowskis anyway, so it doesn't matter. The next one, this one's been bumped 2 or 3 times, but it's because they are looking for a bigger audience.
Yeah.
And again, it's an August film now, I believe. Excuse me. The Dark Tower, based on Stephen King's series of books, starring Idris Elba, Matthew McConaughey, and Michael Barbieri.
Yes.
What is this? I'm not familiar with the books.
I am not that familiar with this book. I do know it's set in a post-apocalyptic time, and Idris Elba is playing this mysterious gunslinger-type character with Matthew McConaughey as the bad guy, this dark magic-wielding bad guy individual. And for those of us who have known that Matthew McConaughey is a terrific actor, and has finally moved beyond all of the rom-com
he can play practically anything. Yeah.
Junk. And when we saw him, no offense, Matthew.
Not all the rom-coms were junk, but most of them were.
Well, no offense, Matthew. You're a terrific actor and stuff like that. And thank goodness you did a movie like Killer Joe, which showed how amazing and disturbing you can be. Besides the whole naked bongo playing thing, what you do in your private life's your business. But I'm really like, this is going to be really, really cool. I love Idris Elba anyway. And you don't really see Matthew McConaughey play a bad guy all that often.
Not really. Not truly bad.
No. And this really gives a chance for some major scene chewery happening. Let's face it, Stephen King doesn't usually write small. So it should be, and that's not a bad thing.
No.
So
this is good. This is also great exposure for Michael Barbieri. Michael made his dramatic debut in Little Men last year as Tony, the irrepressibly mouthy wannabe actor. Opposite Theo Taplitz's more reserved Jake.
Yeah.
And he's everywhere this summer. You're going to see him in another movie we'll talk about in a few minutes. You're going to see him in this movie. He's got 2 or 3 other ones coming out. And I'm like, and he's grown up, way up since he did Little Men, actually shot almost 3 years ago. It's like he is really turning into a really hunky young man, and people are really thinking he's going to be great. And he's playing. Elba's a sidekick, isn't he? Although he's also connected to the McConaughey
He's
character.
the main character. It's he's really the main character. I mean, Idris Elba's character is very important.
Right.
His journey is the journey that we're really watching.
So it'll be interesting to see that. And that's the one thing that's really drawing me in.
Yeah.
He was number 4 on our Rising Stars list last year, and he deserved it, and he's really going to be a big star, especially if this takes off. The Hitman's Bodyguard. This is a comedy/action thriller comedy with the premise of Ryan Reynolds as the bodyguard for Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
This should be funny.
Ryan Reynolds is a bodyguard.
I'm sorry, Samuel L. Jackson did not need bodyguard of anybody.
Well, apparently he does in this because Samuel L. Jackson's character is actually a hitman.
Yeah.
Who is supposed to be testifying at the International Court of Justice, kind of like The Hague kind of a thing. So they have to work together because you got to face it, a hitman is going to have a lot of evidence in their head of all the people they've worked for in the past.
Yep.
So the idea of Deadpool and Nick Fury in the same movie, yay! I'm sorry, I had a total Marvel comic geek moment there.
Different Marvel universes.
I know.
At the moment, you never know what'll happen.
But still, I'm sorry. This just has the potential to be really, really, really terrific.
But so did our RIPD.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that one.
Logan Lucky. This is getting a lot of word of mouth, and it's suddenly started to really explode. As in, looks like it's going to track really well. It's tracking really well.
Yeah.
I don't know that much about it. I just started to pick up the buzz about a week ago.
It's a comedy.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm sorry. Just pardon me for one little second. Gotta take a drink.
Yep, she's got a slurp.
I gotta dry my parched throat. I'm sorry. There are three words that don't sound like they should be in the same sentence. Daniel Craig and comedy.
Yeah.
Those do not sound like they go together. I am not knocking Daniel as an actor. I think you're fabulous.
We should point out it's a dark comedy, not a comedy comedy.
Yes, it's not a pie in the face, kind of comedy or anything like that. I mean, I'm not knocking Daniel as an actor. I think he's wonderful. I think he's fantastic. I think he's terrific.
I've never seen him do comedy ever. So
no, I've never seen him do comedy. Also starring Adam Driver and Channing Tatum and Sebastian Stan. I
haven't really seen Adam Driver do comedy either, so...
Girls
is not really a comedy, and I haven't seen Girls. I have a reason for that. I can't stand Lena Dunham.
I know.
But there's everything I've ever seen him in. Although Patterson, which he got raves for, is sort of a comedy drama. I didn't see it yet. I still want to see it, and I love him in Star Wars. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see where we go here.
Logan Lucky is the story of the plans that two brothers have to pull off a heist during a NASCAR race that is going on in North Carolina. So I'm sure Meryl Streep will be right up front buying a ticket for this film, right?
Ooh, sick burn.
We don't forget, Meryl. We don't forget here on Subject Cinema.
And we usually fuel the fire. Anyway, it does sound fun.
I don't know very much about this either. All I know
Channing
is
Tatum's in it.
I realize Channing Tatum's in it. Channing Tatum.
No, I'm saying I think it sounds fun even though he's in it, because everybody who listens to Subject Cinema on a regular basis knows there are several actors I cannot stand, and he is one of them. So
yeah. This has a really interesting cast besides the people that I've mentioned. The cast also includes Seth MacFarlane. So that'll bring in the Family Guy bunch. Katie Holmes, Hilary Swank, Dwight Yoakam.
Katie Holmes? Ah!
Dwight Yoakam, who's done a lot of acting recently and gotten, pretty good.
He's acting more than he's singing anymore.
Yeah,
practically.
And Brian Gleason. So that should be interesting. I'm looking forward to it myself.
Finally, on the list of likely blockbusters, the only real horror film we have on here, other than that weird thing with Joel Edgerton, is another sequel, Annabelle Creation.
Actually, it's more of a prequel.
Well, a sequel, prequel, but it's part of that series.
Yeah. Annabelle Creation is looking at the backstory of the doll that was featured in The Conjuring and in the first Annabelle film. Because evil dolls are something that Hollywood has been fascinated with since forever.
They do well.
They do well.
They do really well.
Because
let's
face
The Boy wasn't a huge hit, but all the ones.
No, but I actually watched that while I was sick, and it was actually pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
Let's face facts. Dolls can be friggin' creepy. I mean, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
And that doll, I'm sorry, not for nothing, but what kind of a sadist...
You were creeped out from the very first trailer that featured it a couple years ago in the other movie.
I was like, 2 words, good and bye. I am out of here. So, I'm sorry, there's just... Creepy doll movies, no, I don't need that. I don't need that kind of drama, man. Do not need it.
Okay, so these are the 15 films that we have definitely classed as looking like blockbusters. They are Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, King Arthur Legend of the Sword, Despicable Me 3, The Mummy, Wonder Woman, Cars 3, Captain Underpants, It Comes at Night, Atomic Blonde, Girls Trip, Valerian and the City of the Thousand Planets, The Dark Tower, The Hitman's Bodyguard, Logan Lucky, and Annabelle Creation.
Yep.
Now, you'll notice there's several major titles that everybody's aware of that are not on that list.
Yep.
5 of them are on this list. The hit that are possibly going to underperform at the box office.
Yep.
Now, that doesn't mean it's going to be a bomb, but it means that I don't think they're going to pull in the kind of bucks that the theater studios are thinking of.
Yeah, we don't think these movies are going to tank per se.
Right, we've got a few of those, but
we don't think that it's going to pull in the gazillions of dollars that the studios think that it will.
Right. These 5 films are movies we think will be a modest hit, but I don't think they'll be the box office blockbusters that they think they will be. Starting with Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. Mm-hmm. Johnny Depp needs a hit desperately. His last 7 films have tanked at the box office, and Mordecai was one of the biggest bombs of all time. So it's like, oh wow, is Captain Jack going to be back on top?
I hope so. Because I have to be honest.
The last 2 of them have sucked. I got to be honest.
I have to be honest as well. Johnny Depp is one of my favorite actors.
Oh, me too. I love him.
I think he's
awesome.
Fantastic. I've always thought he was handsome. I wouldn't throw him out of bed for eating crackers. But
you adore him as Captain Jack.
But there's just something about that Jack Sparrow outfit. It's just,
you even had that when Ryder Lynch put it on for Dancing with the Stars a few years ago.
I don't know what it is. It just does something to me. But I have to be honest. Pirates of the Caribbean, the last film, it sucked.
The 4th one was terrible.
Yeah, the film about...
It was fun, and we did get Sam Claflin and Astrid Burgess Frisbee out of it for the Rising Stars list.
The plot was completely incomprehensible.
Yeah, it was. Despite the presence of a lot of good people.
Ian McShane was wasted his Blackbeard, and the instructions for how to get the Fountain of Youth to work were about as easy to follow as VCR instructions.
My big problem with the whole Pirates franchise,
Mm-hmm.
the whole franchise, is that they tease people that don't actually appear that much. Chow Yun-fat in number 2.
Yes.
That pissed me off.
Oh, yeah.
And number 3 was, I've forgotten who was number 3. Somebody was in number 3. Or maybe that was number 3. That might have been number 3. Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was number 3, sorry. Mm-hmm. Number 4, we got all this, big stuff about Penelope Cruz and Ian McShane and a few other people, and Keith Richards. And Keith Richards, who was invited to play Captain Jack's father, because that's who Johnny Depp based the character on. Now, in this film, we have the always incomparable Javier Bardem.
Yes.
And I'm really not impressed with the commercials of the trailers so far. I can barely understand what he's saying because of all the teeth work he has, which he should be used to from Skyfall. But it's like, okay. I love him. I'll go see this because of him.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know.
Javier Bardem plays Captain Salazar, the main baddie of the film, who's out for the head of Captain Jack Sparrow, pretty much like everybody else is.
Yep.
This time, Jack is looking for another piece of treasure, the Trident of Poseidon, to be exact, and has teamed up with Brendan Thwaites, who is the son of Will Turner and Keira Knightley's character, Elizabeth Swann. Brandon plays Henry Turner, who's now all grown up and looking.
So that means 20 years have passed since the last one they were in?
Well, we saw...
Because he's clearly not supposed to be a teenager.
Well, he's supposed to be a young man.
Young man, that would indicate...
When we saw him at the end of...
Number 3.
Number 3, he was a little boy, like about 5.
Oh, was he? Okay. I wasn't sure.
7 or so. So I don't know. It's really hard to tell.
It is.
But I think that it looks really fun. And Javier Bardem looks so scary that I forgot to be turned on.
Yeah.
And that's saying something. Because I think he's amazing.
You weren't turned on by his character from Skyfall either.
Well, I was fine with it. And I thought his character was intriguingly sexy until the whole thing in the interrogation room scene when I started whimpering and calling for my mother because it completely freaked me out.
Yeah, I know.
But we'll have to wait and see if Captain Jack's got the magic this time.
Yes. This one is getting good word of mouth among fans, but critics are already about to...
Oh, you know, critics are sharpening their claws waiting to rip this to pieces.
And I've got to be honest, despite the fact that I like so many people in the cast, I have absolutely no interest in the big screen version of Baywatch. Dwayne Johnson, Zac Efron, Alexandria Daddario. That's got to be weird. I've always thought it was weird when you play relatives in one movie and then you play other roles in another movie. And it's got to be weird especially weird for Shailene Woodley and Ansel Elgort, who have been playing girlfriend and boyfriend in one thing and brother and sister in another thing.
Yeah.
That gets a whole weird thing going about it. So here...
Or Elizabeth Olsen and Aaron Taylor Johnson, who played husband and wife in Godzilla and then brother and sister in
Avengers, yeah.
Age of Ultron. Of course, they weren't. They were separated by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
This one has Alexandria Daddario, who played Dwayne Johnson's eldest daughter in San Andreas. And I don't know what their relationship is here. She's the Pamela Anderson character. So I really don't know. But they are and have been honest. This is a comic take on the classic television show. Anybody want to remember Land of the Lost? How badly that bombed?
I would actually take offense at the use of the word classic in there, but that's just my own opinion. I
don't know.
Classic television is the Twilight Zone, Star Trek, stuff like that.
It's tracking well, but I don't know if it's going to do well.
People running in slow motion on a beach in tight bikinis is not classic television. I'm sorry.
It ran for 8 seasons. It's not exactly a bomb.
That's because, newsflash, spoiler alert, people like slow motion boobs.
Okay, fair enough.
And David Hasselhoff.
Now,
which might actually also qualify as a slow motion boob.
I'm not going to touch that one. The third one.
Sorry.
Alien Covenant. This is getting raves for its trailer, but Prometheus left a really bad taste in Alien fans' mouths.
Yes, it did.
The end of it.
Yep, it sure did.
So, it wasn't officially classed as an Alien film. This is the sequel to Prometheus, so...
Which apparently is an Alien film, so screw you, fans.
Michael Fassbender is playing the same character. A variation. I guess he's a later generation robot.
Yeah, he's an android, so that actually can work.
I love Michael Fassbender, but he's made some choices that I just don't like because I'm not fond of those kind of movies.
No,
and
you're not fond. Well, you're not fond of the Alien movies anyway.
No,
you don't do squishy.
They're too squishy for me.
And this.
But I think it's got a shot at being big, but I don't think it may be as big as what they expect. War of the Planet of the Apes. War for the Planet of the Apes, sorry. This one has had almost zero buzz compared to the first two, which did really well. And that's strange. I mean, they said, according to all the print, this is the final movie in that trilogy. If they do more, they'll do new characters.
Right.
Everybody is also saying Andy Serkis deserves an Oscar nomination for his role as Caesar in this film. Probably won't happen. They don't seem to be warming up to motion capture stuff.
Nope.
But, I don't know. It has potential. It does have the name recognition. It has a built-in audience from the first two. But, like I said, there's been virtually no buzz compared to the first two films. So whether or not it'll become huge, I don't know. The fifth one is going to get me in trouble, but I've got to be honest. With its enormously long running time, Dunkirk may be the epic and the critically acclaimed epic that everybody says it's going to be, but it may not make it at the box office because I've read, and maybe you can confirm that or not, it's 3 hours and 35 minutes long.
Wow.
Is that right?
I don't know.
I'm like, we'll have to look that. I'll double check it here in a second. Dunkirk is Christopher Nolan's latest epic about Dunkirk, the landing in Dunkirk during World War II. Mm-hmm. Kenneth Branagh.
One of the moments that I think you could actually... I don't think it would be unfair to say that that's one of the moments that turned the tide of the war.
Yeah. Kenneth Branagh is the star of this. Everybody is more talking about it because Harry Styles is in the film.
Yes.
One of the lads from Young Direction who just hit the chart with a big hit on his solo album.
It's got an amazing cast.
It does, and it looks
Hardy.
great, and he shot a lot of it in IMAX, so it's going to look spectacular on widescreen theater.
Yeah, Tom Harding, Cillian Murphy.
But the running time, if they're right, I mean, I'll look that up here in a minute. Tell us a little bit about the film itself, because it's going to be a big hit. I mean, but I don't know what's going to be money-making hit.
It is about, like we mentioned, the Battle of Dunkirk. It's about soldiers from the Allied powers, from Belgium, from Britain, from Canada, and France, and about how they were surrounded by the German army and how they were evacuated during one of the battles of World War II. I think that obviously this movie is going to have people that are interested in it simply because war movies are interesting to certain people. You know, I'm not one of them, to be perfectly honest. Simply because I feel like we get enough war in real life on the news.
Yeah, that's true.
But I also feel like anything where it shows what these men went through and shows it in a more realistic way, I think is a good thing. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I mean, a lot of, it's really kind of ironic because for so long, people complained about the fact that, you know, war movies aren't realistic and stuff like that, and they're not really, you know, true to what actually happened. And then a movie like Saving Private Ryan comes out and tries to be realistic, and everybody flips their snit. And they're like, oh, it's too violent, blah, blah, blah. Think of the children, da-da-da-da-da. It's like, make up your forking minds, people.
This is why I can't find the running time confirmed anywhere, because he's still editing it.
Oh.
But I have actually read somewhere online that they said that the final cut so far is 3 hours and 35 minutes. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be, I think the last film that long that made big waves was the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know.
Even that wasn't 3.5 hours, not special edition version.
The third one, Return of the King, was 3.5 hours. Yeah. So it's
see, that's the thing. If a movie doesn't feel like it's that long, then great.
This is a war film. It's going to feel that long.
Well, yeah.
It's going to. I mean, so I don't know. It's really interesting. I love Christopher Nolan stuff. Usually, he's a marvelous writer, a marvelous director. His visual eye is incredible, which is proven in everything he's done.
But sometimes, I will be perfectly honest, I love Christopher Nolan too. You know, I loved his take on the Batman universe, The Prestige, one of my favorite movies.
You even like Memento, even though it was slippery.
See, that's the thing. Memento was so intense, but I was like, I am getting so lost, and I didn't even look away.
If you don't get lost on The Prestige, you got a problem. I mean, you must really be paying attention.
Well, the Prestige wasn't a question of getting lost. It was just a question of after the movie was done.
Well, no, you had to follow that plot. If you left for 5 minutes, same with Inception. You left for 5 minutes, you're in deep trouble.
Yeah, but the thing is, you could watch The Prestige and pay attention and still not be entirely sure what happened, because you'd be like, well, if this happened this way, maybe that meant this happened, and da-da-da-da-da. And I mean, how long ago did we see that movie and we still, I think this happened.
It's 10 years old.
Yeah, I know. So it's like, oh my gosh, you know, but we'll wait and see if
11.
We'll wait and see if Dunkirk has that kind of buzz.
I think, it looks phenomenally good. I'm not
but like I said,
knocking that at all.
Like I said, you run into that problem where, excuse me, you run into that two-edged sword where you have the whole thing that people are like, oh, well, war movies don't really show what goes on. Then you do show what really goes on in war, and people clutch their pearls, and they're all like, oh, think of the children.
Right.
You know,
if they can get that running time down to 2.5 hours or above,
I just feel bad. Okay, I just feel bad for whoever shows up to this movie trying to have a serious experience and having to deal with these little nitwits that are going to show up because they want to see Harry, what's his name?
Harry Styles. Yeah, that's going to be a problem, but only for the first weekend, I think. Mm. I don't think the One Direction fans will be in. It'll be like A View to a Kill.
That's what I'm talking about.
Duranis, but they only did it for the first weekend.
I was ready to slam my chair up against those girls' heads. I was just... We're
going to take a little break now. We've been running long about this because we wanted to get these two big categories out. Coming up, we're going to talk about some of the buzzed films, the smaller films that are getting a lot of buzz, sleepers. We'll get to the indies a little bit later. The movies we've got in the category, which to me has 3 big titles in it, and she's not happy with one of them.
No, I'm not.
And a few other things. Plus, we've got two installments of the 13 report and a freeze frame coming up later in the show. So stick around.
Subject Cinema will be right back.
Real movies for real people. Subject Cinema.
Hello, everybody. On behalf of Nick, Joe, and Vern, we would like to invite you back for a brand new season of the As You Watch podcast.
In our upcoming season, we will be talking about franchises, trilogies, and series of movies that you will recognize and some that you may not.
We will also continue to post fun and insightful interviews with many people in the world of entertainment, as well as feature a lot of great guests from other sites and podcasts.
So be sure to check us out on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Podomatic, and on Facebook.
And don't forget to check out our older episodes on our site, asyouwatch.wordpress.com.
If you're looking for great films, well, that's okay. You'll like us anyway. Subject Cinema.
Hey guys, welcome back to our Summer Movie Blockbuster Preview Extravaganza Lollapalooza thing here on Subject Cinema. I'm Kim Brown.
Thing? I'm T.C. Kirkham. Thing?
I ran out of words.
It's our extravaganza!
I ran out of words.
We're going over...
I was also running out of air.
100 plus movies, and not all the titles we'll have for you. We're going to give you the dates on a web update later this week, because the dates are... I got to go through it. I want to make a list of when they're supposed to hit theaters.
Mm-hmm.
You might catch some of them, the next group, before they come out at your local festival. There's a number of these showing at IFFB right now. A lot of things have been getting buzzed. Now, buzzed, we're classing as the public is not completely aware of it, or that they are, and it's getting huge buzz, and is expected to be a monster hit.
Yep.
We'll get to that one in a little bit later, which turned out to be one of the biggest hits at South by Southwest this year. But we'll start with this one because it's been in the news lately. Everybody's kind of aware of it if they follow entertainment news. The movie is called Three Generations. We first brought up to you, these are buzzed films, by the way, as I said. Three Generations was known as About Ray originally when it was purchased by the Weinstein Company at Cannes 2015. It stars Elle Fanning as a teenager in the process of transitioning from female to male.
Yep.
And with the reluctant help of her mother and grandmother is trying to track down her biological father so she can get his signature to go through with the final change.
Yes.
It got a lot of controversy because it is a film aimed at teens. It's aimed at taking the transgender story and thought patterns to the teenage market.
Yes.
And it got an R rating.
Which is stupid because a lot of
sexual situations.
Right.
Now, they did get it down to a PG-13 this week. Harvey was really, bitching and moaning. Harvey Weinstein, bitching and moaning, wrote this long editorial piece for Deadline.com. And they came to an agreement, and they made, I think it was 30-some seconds worth of cuts and got a PG-13. It opens this weekend in limited release. The nice thing about Harvey, when he's putting a movie in limited release, it's not going to be limited. Most of the time when you say limited release, it can mean as little as 10 theaters around the whole country.
Right.
This will probably be 500 to 600. It's Harvey does that stuff.
And it's a film that needs to be seen by that audience.
Yeah, and plus I want to see it. I've wanted to see it since we saw the trailer 2 years ago.
Yeah, a lot of people who have come out as being transgender people have brought up the fact that, their teen years were very difficult. I mean, being a teenager is difficult enough as it is. Feeling like you're not in your correct gender, that's going to be hell.
And not to mention the fact that this got some backlash from the trans community because Elle Fanning, obviously a female actress and not a transgender actress. But GLAAD stepped up and backed Harvey's campaign to get it re-rated. So that's something. I think it's going to be... I love Elle Fanning anyway. She is just an amazing young actress. And with Susan Sarandon as her grandmother... And who's playing her mom? I've forgotten.
I'm not sure. Sorry.
I think it's Naomi Watts. It really, I can't wait to see what it is. And we'll be out there, preferably this weekend.
Yep.
To see it. Another film there's a ton of films on this list, I gotta be honest. Some of the films we're just going to go over really quickly because we don't know that much about them, but they're getting buzz. Chuck.
Chuck is a biopic about boxer Chuck Liddell, who was an athlete who actually inspired one of the longest-running sports, films of all time, the franchise of films. Chuck was the boxer that inspired Sylvester Stallone to write the story of Rocky Balboa. Chuck Wepner. I'm sorry. Did I say Liddell?
You said Liddell. I'm like, wait a minute. Chuck Liddell was on Dancing with the Stars a few years ago.
I'm looking at two different things. Chuck Wepner in this film is played by Liev Schreiber. Mm-hmm. So that should be really interesting.
And we love him too.
Yeah. I actually know the name Chuck Wepner because he is one of the, he was a boxer that actually, besides fighting Muhammad Ali, was involved in one of those disastrous bouts that somebody thought was a good idea at the time, where they would pit a boxer against a professional wrestler, and Mr. Wepner had the unfortunate job of having to stare across the ring at the eighth wonder of the world, Andre the Giant.
Ooh.
It didn't end well.
No.
I don't know if they'll bring that up in the movie.
Who knows? If they do, I imagine Big Show probably would be picked to play him. I don't know. Manifesto.
Manifesto is a very grim film from the sound of it.
This is one that I think that you would probably be interested in, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know. It's a story of war and betrayal and people trying to survive in one of the most horrible, things that have gone on. The war in the Ukraine. It looks like it's going to be a very, grim film.
Kate Blanchett starred in that, right?
I'm not sure who is in that. I have the name Ellen Solarchi is the name I have in that.
Okay.
I don't really know very much about it other than that.
Okay. Paris Can Wait has been getting a bit of buzz also. Let me get the information up on that. We have so many of these that it's kind of hard because when you get the bad thing about doing a show like this is a lot of the titles that come out at such slow paces that you don't know when they're going to hit. And this one has, I don't think this has a definite date yet. It is the film from Eleanor Coppola, who is the sister or the I think the youngest sister of or daughter of Francis Ford Coppola. But it's Diane Lane, Alec Baldwin, and a romantic love story comedy. And I like the combination because Alec Baldwin surprised me by actually being able to do comedy successfully. Mm-hmm. He was such a serious, dramatic actor for the longest time. And then I saw It's Complicated, and I've loved the guy as a comedic actor ever since. And he had such great chemistry with people he works with. And Diane Lane and him strike me as a very interesting combination because I'm a huge Diane Lane fan. I love her in practically everything. So you're not going to... It's something that interests me, surprisingly, because I don't normally go for chick flicks, which this definitely is. Wakefield is another movie coming out. This is something with Bryan Cranston.
Yes.
That I'm not really that familiar with other than the buzz it's getting on IndieWire. They're just Bryan Cranston fanatics.
I do have to jump back for a second to Manifesto.
Yeah.
You were actually right. I was thinking of another movie called Manifesto.
Okay.
The Manifesto you're thinking of with Cate Blanchett is a film where she's playing 13 different characters.
Oh, yes, that's right. So you were looking at the wrong movie?
Yeah, I was. I'm sorry. It's something else coming out in 2017 called Manifesto. Wakefield, as TC mentioned, is a film with Bryan Cranston. This sounds like it's going to be a real chirpy upbeat piece. Actually, no, it doesn't.
This is one of the ones that you said was on the scare list, wasn't it?
No,
that's the other one he's in. Okay.
Wakefield is the story of a gentleman who has a nervous breakdown, because that's always fun, and he decides to leave his wife and live in the attic of his house for a few months. Yeah, that sounds like it's really going to interest people.
I just can't get over how much Bryan Cranston has transitioned since Malcolm in the Middle. When they first announced he was going to star in Breaking Bad, I'm like, the Malcolm in the Middle guy? and now he's playing the badass all the time. You know, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Band-Aid is the closing night film for the Independent Film Festival Boston this year. It is a comedy about a couple who are on the verge of divorce after years of fighting with each other, who decide that the best way to get through their relationship and to work out their problems is to start a band together.
Yeah.
The word of mouth has been really good on it since it premiered at South by Southwest, though. It's like, okay.
Most people just cut the brake line in the car, but we decide we're just... And we at Subject Cinema are not advocating spousal murder.
We're not.
I'm just fooling. So, anyway, moving on to I, Daniel Blake.
I, Daniel Blake is... I can't believe it took this long to come to America. It was the Cannes Film Festival Palme d'Or winner last year. It won a ton of César Awards. Not César Awards. I have BAFTA Awards at the British, because it's a British film, and it's like a ton of stuff. It's a drama about a family in crisis, and has been, with comic elements, and has been raved about since it came out.
Yeah. Well, considering the fact that it's basically talking about how much, one country's healthcare sucks.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, great. So we have somebody else talking about how much their life is miserable and how healthcare is terrible and stuff like that. Because we don't get enough of that at home. Oh, no, wait, we do. So, that should be fun.
The Beguiled is another film with Elle Fanning.
Yes. The Beguiled is actually a remake of a film that I remember seeing when I was a very young child on TV one night. The Beguiled, directed by Sofia Coppola, is a remake of a film from the 70s starring Clint Eastwood. It is the story of, it's set during the American Civil War, where a soldier from the Union Army winds up being helped at first by the people that are living in a girls' school. He's wounded and he winds up being a patient/prisoner, at first kind of playing all the women and younger girls against each other, but things take a rather dark turn, as they would in these sorts of films. The cast includes Elle Fanning, as TC mentioned, Colin Farrell, Kirsten Dunst, and Nicole Kidman, who is someone else who desperately needs a hit. So this should be interesting.
Especially after Queen of the Desert bombed so bad with Werner Herzog's new film. The Book of Henry has been getting a lot of word of mouth. It is a thriller with Naomi Watts as a single mother who turns to her son to help take care of the family. And there's some interesting stuff going on in the underside of this. This is Colin Trevorrow's latest film. He directed Jurassic World. Everybody's been watching it carefully. Jacob Tremblay is the kid. Jacob is another one of these young actors who is just going to be in everything as the year goes on. He's also the star of Wonder, which is coming out in November and is expected to be a major Oscar nominee. Sarah Silverman also in this, Jaden Lieber, Lee Pace. Said to be really interesting, and whether or not, Naomi's another one that does a little bit of everything, but her last 2 or 3 films have bombed too. And it's like, she used to be a pretty dependable performer. It depends on where you're going.
Yeah.
Now,
I cannot wait for the next movie.
The next, you're again, this is you again falling into that hype, I wonder.
I don't know. I saw it and I was
it's the film that electrified South by Southwest unexpectedly. Edgar Wright's new film, Baby Driver. There have been homages all over online since South by Southwest ended a couple months ago to this film. It is an action thriller with comic elements, starring Ansel Elgort as Baby, the driver. It's actually he drives bad guys around, basically.
Yeah. He works with this one group of crooks more than others, and he is stuck in a situation where he really can't get out of, and doesn't seem to be too upset with it until he winds up meeting a young woman and falling in love, and then finds out that getting out is not that easy.
Right. Ansel's one of the best young performers out there right now. He was just terrific in The Fault in Our Stars, and he's done a number of things since then. And this movie, the trailer is online. You can find it, and it's definitely worth seeing. The people who saw it, the director, Edgar Wright's getting pissed off about all the comparisons to Drive, which I should point out was my best picture of the year that year.
Yeah.
Because Drive was a movie that had a long, convoluted plot line that was driven by the music soundtrack behind it. This movie is being said to be one long music video with occasional interstitials of action. So, I don't know what that means, but
I don't either.
I love everybody in it, and we'll be there, and it's probably going to be a monster hit when it comes out. I don't know about the next one, whether it'll be a monster hit, but I know all of that crowd will enjoy it. An inconvenient sequel, Truth to Power, another film with Al Gore, talking climate change. Ooh, I wonder if Rob and Tiffany are in line to see it yet, or whatever her name was. Birdemic joke. Anyway, it's out there. It did well at Sundance, and but it all depends on whether you're not you believe the climate change stuff, or whether you're a climate skeptic, or whether you're in between, haven't made up your mind yet. When I saw the first movie, it scared the hell out of me. I did some research and realized the first movie was pretty much hooey. So I did just like, okay.
Or you're a person like me that's basically like, the planet's changing, whether or not we're responsible,
Yeah.
whatever. We're all going to die anyway one day, so,
City of Ghosts is another film that's got a lot of buzz. Landline. We're just going to throw a couple of these titles out here because we don't want to keep you in for 5 hours today. Patty Cakes premiered at Sundance to rave reviews. It's coming out later this summer, and it's going to probably get a decent release pattern. It's story of a girl in New Jersey who is heart set on becoming a hot female rapper.
Right.
The girl that plays her, and I've misplaced the name, is from Australia and actually does very well with the Jersey accent, I'm told. It won over audiences huge at Sundance. People said it's absolutely hilarious, also poignant. Lady Macbeth, this is one you've been bugging me about for a year.
Yes, I have. I know. I'm sorry. I have been. And usually when I start bugging him about movies and I'm like, we have to go see this, we have to. There have been occasions where I haven't been exactly, on point, but most of the time I think my record's been pretty okay.
I can't think of anything that you were terribly off point about.
Well, I was the one that thought Shanghai Noon would be fun. And,
well, you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I can't stand Owen Wilson. So
I know.
It's like, okay.
Lady Macbeth is, I saw the trailer for this and I was like, oh, yes. I will be the first to admit, though, this is a chick flick. I will, but I just think it looks incredible. It's the story of a young woman in the 19th century who winds up being sold into marriage to a man who is older than her. And, this is not a marriage based on love. And it's based on a novel by Nikolai Leskov. It looks so intense and just really beautifully shot. I can't wait to see it. So,
another film that seemed to do pretty well at where it premiered, I forget it was Sundance or South by Southwest, is it's called Brigsby Bear. It has gotten a lot of buzz on IndieWire. Let me just read the synopsis from the IMDb. Brigsby Bear Adventures is a TV show produced for an audience of one. James. When the show abruptly ends, James' life changes forever and he sets out to finish the story himself. It's the Truman Show for kids, basically. But it has Mark Hamill, Claire Danes, Greg Kinnear, Andy Samberg, Michaela Watson, all these people that I think are really something. Kyle Mooney playing James. And it got really good word of mouth. When it played at whichever festival it opened at. I'm just looking real quick here to see which one it is. And I know you'll be attracted by Mark Hamill.
Yes, I will.
So.
Yes, I will. I've been a Mark Hamill fan since the first Star Wars film came out. And, Mark, I have to be totally honest, you're scaring the hell out of me with The Last Jedi. But anyway.
Minaj is another story that I've recently just tuned into, thanks to some word of mouth that really started after it played Tribeca last week. Menashe is the story of a widowed rabbi, Orthodox Jew rabbi, who is trying to understand and raise a 15, 16-year-old son after the loss of his wife. It is said to be poignant, hysterically funny in places. It's playing at IFFB this week. And it's half in English and half in Yiddish, so that would be a new experience for us. We've never seen. That's one language we've not seen in the subtitle.
No, I was going to say it is subtitled, right?
What I saw of it, what little bit I've heard about it and seen online, I really want to see this. It sounds like my kind of quirky little film. It's one of those films we're going to see that is one of those we go into and say, we're either going to hate it or it's going to worm its way under our skin and we're never going to stop talking about it.
Yeah.
That's what happened with Little Men last year, and this could do it too.
Yeah.
It's called Menashe.
Detroit is coming out in 2017.
This is another big budget film that should have probably been on the blockbuster list, but I'm not sure.
I have a feeling this film is going to make a lot of people very uncomfortable, and I hope it doesn't cause issues.
Yeah, I hope not too. Catherine Bigelow, usually knows what she's doing. So.
Yeah. It is the story of a police raid that occurred in 1967 in the city of Detroit, Michigan, which resulted in one of the largest citizen uprisings in the history of the United States. This is not something you're going to read about in your history books. The cast includes Caitlin Dever, John Krasinski, John Boyega, Anthony Mackie, Jack Rayner.
It's a top-notch cast.
Jacob Lattimore. I am... this is going to really piss people off.
Yeah,
and it should piss people off because this was something that should not have happened. Yeah. It's another example of the fact that you give certain people a badge and a nightstick.
Well, you got to remember the time where it took place were very tumultuous in a lot of major cities because of college campus uprisings, because of the evolving Black Panthers movement, and a lot of other things. So hopefully she'll be able to put a spin on everything to make everything come clear. Well, she did that with Zero Dark 30. Which
all I know is that by the end of the evening there were 3 black men that were killed and 7 black men and 2 white women wound up severely beaten by the police, the people that are supposed to protect and serve. And this is just another example of how sometimes you give people a badge, a gun, and a nightstick and they think they're God Almighty.
Yeah, but you don't want to say that overall.
No, not overall. No, definitely not overall. Most of the police are people that go out there and put their lives on the line and are there for everybody, not just certain people. But there are some bad apples, sadly enough.
Yeah. The Reagan show will be both on theaters and on demand when it comes out in July. It is a documentary that uses archival footage from the days of the Reagan administration to show how they thought of their presidency as opposed to the world. It's supposed to be, because of the way it's done, and she lets the footage speak for itself, I guess it can be quirkily funny and also, pretty devastating in some places.
From what we've heard about it, it's basically almost kind of got a split screen aspect to it.
Yeah.
It's how
it premiered at Tribeca last week.
It's how Reagan viewed what was going on around him and how the world viewed what was going on around him.
Right.
And the fact that, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to piss anybody off for a change, but the fact that it's come out since that at a point in his presidency, Ronald Reagan was suffering from Alzheimer's.
No, they have never clarified that, ever. Sorry.
Okay, all right.
They don't know when it
suspected.
started. Maybe, but they don't actually, they've never been able to clarify it.
Okay,
so.
I'm sorry if my bad. I do apologize. But Reagan was a very polarizing figure, so I think this is the kind of film that people are going to be talking about.
Yeah, Abacus, Too Small to Jail. This is a documentary about the only company that actually had people go to jail for the 2008 financial crisis. Gotten good word of mouth. It's from superstar documentarian Steve James. Enough said. Dean, playing tonight as we're recording at the IFFB, was last year's audience Tribeca winner. Director and star Dimitri Martin. dealing with the recent death of his mother by taking a cross-country trip with his estranged father.
Yep.
I love Demetri Martin as an actor. He's brilliantly funny in Taking Woodstock, which got so underrated.
A criminally underrated film.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see this.
Yeah.
The Hero also played at IFFB this week.
Yeah, The Hero, starring Sam Elliott, who I could listen to read the phone book, because he's just...
But he didn't? No, that was Jeff Bridges, sorry.
Because he's just that awesome. Sam Elliott plays a movie star who is dealing with the fact that he is not the young man that he used to be, and that,
got great word of mouth on Twitter.
Life is going on, and it's eventually going to go on without him.
Yeah.
The cast, besides Mr. Elliott, also includes Laura Prepon, Kristen Ritter, Catherine Ross, and Nick Offerman.
Yeah. Hare Krishna is a documentary about the legendary sect and how it came about, how it formed. It has gotten in the 90s in the reviews on Rotten Tomatoes since premiering at Tribeca last week. It comes out in August. I gotta say, that's gonna fascinate me to see how that's done. The Big Sick was one of the big talked about films at Sundance this year. I'm looking forward to this. I'm a bit concerned that they're throwing this into the summer months because a lot of people think this is an Oscar contender, and I can't understand sometimes why distributors do that. But it's the true story of, I'm sorry, do you have the info?
Yeah.
The comic from Silicon Valley.
Kumail Nanjiani.
Who's actually playing himself in this film.
And I hope I got that even close to correct, sir. If I didn't, it wouldn't surprise me, and I'm sorry.
It's the story of his courtship with his wife.
With his wife, Emily, played by Zoe Kazan, whom we love. If you've never seen Ruby Sparks, see it right now. The cast also includes Holly Hunter, Ray Romano, and Adil Akhtar. I am doing terrible at names today.
It's the story of how her parents had trouble accepting him as an Indian American, and then, excuse me, not Indian American, Muslim American, and his parents being upset that he was dating a Caucasian woman.
Yeah.
And how it all came together when his would-be wife became critically ill, which is why it's called The Big Sick.
Yep.
All right, I told you about this. I got the description wrong, but it is interesting to see how it's going to turn out. The Little Hours. This is premiering tonight, sold out at IFFB.
Yes.
And do you have it up?
Yes, I do. The Little Hours is the story of a servant who flees from his master and takes refuge at a convent, and it takes place in the Middle Ages.
It's a comedy. Can I point that out? It's a comedy. Dave Franco, Aubrey Plaza, number of other people, and great word of mouth at South by Southwest.
Allison Brie, John C. Reilly, Molly Shannon, Nick Offerman again, Fred Armisen.
Nick Offerman. Can I talk about Nick Offerman for a minute?
Sure.
Nick Offerman is one of those actors where I've never generally been able to stomach some of the stuff he does because he's always played characters that I couldn't stand. And then he played Greg's dad in Me and Earl and the Dying Girl and completely won me over. I mean, he was so funny, and he barely had anything to say in that film, and he was hysterically funny. And since then, I've kind of warmed up to him. I like when I see him, so it's like, okay. And that should be interesting to see what he does in several of these films this summer.
Yeah.
Night School is a documentary that not that much is coming out about, so we're going to skip that one. Buena Vista Social Club Adios is the sequel to Wim Wenders' film from a few years ago and is in the middle of a big controversy because the studio running it, Broad Green, keeps bumping titles and then selling them to other studios. So it's been on the schedule 3 times and hopefully it'll actually come out. Santoala has also gotten a lot of word of mouth at South by Southwest. I think it might have been Sundance. I'm not sure which one, but it did one of them. And it's another epic journey type movies.
Yeah, it was a story of a couple. They're Dutch, and they wind up going to a village in Spain called Santoala to begin a new life together.
Right. That's a life journey. That's what I should say.
Yeah, and there winds up being conflict with the people that live there already, and the husband winds up disappearing. So, I'm sure that the Spanish Tourist Board will be very happy with this film.
Step is, I think, the biggest seller at South by Southwest. It's a documentary about a step dancing troupe, similar to films like First Position. And those where they're competing and doing all kinds of stuff. Raves from everybody that saw it. And it's same here when it played here on Friday, I think it was.
Also coming out is The Only Living Boy in New York, which is the story of a young man who has recently graduated college and, like a lot of people in college, isn't really sure what to do next. And his life winds up being turned on its ear by the woman that his father is having an affair with. The cast includes Kate Beckinsale, Pierce Brosnan, Jeff Bridges, Kirstie Clemens, Debbie Mazar.
A lot of good people.
It sounds like it's going to be pretty intense.
Beach Rats, which premiered at Sundance this year, and just won IFFB Jury Prize for Best Narrative, I think, has been getting a lot of buzz. Not my kind of film. It's a coming-of-age film, and I don't know. There's just something that's not hitting me with this, but it has been getting a lot of word of mouth people that saw it. Some Freaks I've been waiting for a while. It premiered last year at Toronto.
Surprise!
Not Toronto. At I can't remember the name of it. The Canadian equivalent to Fantastic Fest. I've forgotten what it's called. Yes, big surprise. Thomas Mann is the star, so I've been waiting for this one. Thomas plays a boy with one eye who befriends and becomes good friends with an overweight girl. They go away to college, come back. She's lost all this weight, and suddenly there's this big gap in their relationship, and they have to try and figure out how this does. It got a really good review from the people that saw it last year at the festival, and I'm a sucker for Thomas Mann. Anyway, I even watched Memoria for him, and I ended up liking it sort of. But I mean,
what you could see.
Yeah, exactly. But I'll give him a chance, whatever he plays. So it's like this will be fun. Pilgrimage. This one is the last one on our buzz list. This is John Barenthal. Without saying a word. John Barenthal plays a monk who has taken a vow of silence. His sidekick is played by Spider-Man's Tom Holland. Yep. And they are on their way to do what?
It's the story of a group of monks in 13th century Ireland who must... they're tasked with bringing a relic, which is a sacred object, across the Irish landscape where there's apparently like a ton of peril going on. The cast, as you mentioned, includes John Barenthal, who plays a character called the Mute. Well, give everything away right there, why don't you, movie? All the cast also includes Tom Holland, Richard Armitage, yay! John Lynch, Stanley Weber, Hugh O'Connor, Lachlan O'Mearan, or Marion, I'm sorry if I messed your name up, sir. Boy, there are not a lot of women in this movie.
It had its world premiere at Tribeca last night and has been a huge hit and it got great.
I don't think there's any
mouth.
women in this movie.
Now, let's go to the sleepers. These are the films that seemed like they have good buzz, that it could become big hits eventually. We're just going to run these by really quick because like I said, we don't want to go overboard, and we still have one more segment to go of this stuff. Everything is the first one that'll hit, and I think it's going to be a hit because, number one, it's going wide, which surprised me. Number two of the most appealing young actors as the leads, the wonderful Amanda Stenberg from who is best known for The Hunger Games. She also did the indie As You Are, which got raves at Sundance last year, and Nick Robinson, who is one of the most underrated young performers, best known for Jurassic World, but he's also done Being Charlie. He was in Kings of Summer. He's done everything. I've never seen him with long hair. He looks really weird that way.
The Wall is a trailer that we've seen.
This got great reviews, too, and I'm surprised the critics are getting behind this.
I'm like, when we saw the trailer for this, I was like, damn.
It's going to be intense.
The Wall is a wartime drama starring Aaron Taylor Johnson and WWE superstar John Cena. playing two soldiers who wind up playing a deadly game of cat and mouse in the Middle East with a sniper. And I'm sorry, this trailer is intense as hell.
It got a great notice from Deadline last week.
Yeah, and I love John. I think John's terrific. John from West Newbury, Massachusetts, represent. He showed me in this film. He's done action stuff and comedy stuff, and he's just kind of a big goofball. And I'm sorry, I was like, damn.
It's Aaron Taylor Johnson. You can't go wrong with him. He just can do everything.
I mean, this movie is like so intense. I was like biting my nails just from the trailer.
Think of all the different stuff you've seen Aaron Taylor Johnson in. Back when he was also just Aaron Johnson.
Yeah.
No, you got him playing John Lennon in Lonely Boy, Nowhere Boy.
Nowhere Boy.
Then you have him in Kick-Ass. Then you have him in The Avengers. You have him doing super serious roles in like a couple of period pieces. And then he stars in Godzilla. Then he does an REM video that looks kind of freaky. Mm-hmm. This guy can play anything. Yeah. I love him in everything. I've ever seen him in it. It's like, I can't wait to see this film. Yeah, it's going to be intense as all hell, though.
I don't do war movies. And this film, I was like, I want to see this. I don't believe I just said that. So I don't know. All Eyes on Me is a biography about the life and, unfortunately, the death of rapper, actor, incredibly genius person who got taken away from us too soon, Tupac Shakur. This one's going to
It has a built-in audience. There's a possibility of a major explosion in box office when it comes out. Straight Outta Compton did really well a couple years ago, so that's about time they're doing stuff like that.
And Demetrius Shipp Jr. has the unenviable task of playing Tupac Shakur. Talk about filling shoes that are just
impossible to fill.
Totally.
Yeah. The Bad Batch you were talking. This is the one we were talking about that was on the scare list.
No, I don't think.
Isn't it?
No,
you said
no. Wish Upon was.
Oh, I thought both of them were.
No. I don't actually know what the Bad Batch is about.
Okay, Bad Batch is a thriller with Keanu Reeves, and we'll just leave it at that because he's been doing really good at that stuff, and it has gotten some buzz, but not as much because people are not yet aware of it, but it probably will. Wish Upon, go ahead.
Wish Upon actually has, I do know a little bit about that because it was on that list of summer movies that are, again,
scare the bejesus
out of you. Wish Upon tells the story of a young woman who winds up obtaining a box, and the box grants wishes. Now, while that sounds,
I've seen this.
While that sounds pretty nifty off the cuff, we've
really kind of seen this several times in the last few years, including the box, the what's the name of that thing that Michael Angarano and Juno Taylor
Brass Teapot.
Brass Teapot.
Well, the whole thing is that this young woman gets this box and it grants wishes. I believe it's supposed to grant 7 wishes or something like that. But the problem is the fact that, as it often happens with these sort of things, there's a price to pay. Magic don't come cheap. The cast includes Joey King, Sherilyn Fenn, Shannon Purser, Ryan Phillippe, Elizabeth Rom, and from the sound of it, it sounds like this is pretty damn scary. I'm looking forward to it myself.
Ghost Story. You were talking about this one.
Ghost Story, I have a feeling I'm going to...
A Ghost Story.
Yes, A Ghost Story. Also on the list of films that are guaranteed to keep you up at night. A Ghost Story is the story of a person who is now joined the ranks of the living impaired, and private joke, and is not ready to let go of their wife. It stars Casey Affleck and Sonia Acevedo. I don't know how you say your name. Acevedo. I wasn't even close. I always find the whole concept of a ghost to be a fascinating idea. It's just the whole idea of what makes one person move on, if you believe in the whole concept of a soul. What makes one person move on and what makes one person stay behind. And this film is the whole idea of someone being so in love with their wife that they can't move on. And I think that just sounds really, really interesting. You know, I mean, certain ghost stories are actually quite tender and sweet, and certain ghost stories scare the hell out of you. I have a feeling this one might actually fall in the in-between. Because I'm like, oh, that's kind of romantic. He doesn't want to leave her, but at the same time...
It's kind of creepy.
Yeah, holy crap, he's a dead guy.
It's like those two zombie movies that came out a couple years ago. The one with Anton and... Anton Yelchin and Alexander
Life After
Dario.
Beth.
No, that's the one. That's the one with Dane DeHaan.
Yeah.
It's the other. Oh,
Burying the Ex.
Burying the Ex.
Yeah.
Those two films. Yeah, that's what that sounds like.
Yeah.
The Incredible Jessica James is making its appearance at the IFFB this week too. Early word of mouth says that it's going to be a hit. Oh, and I just noticed something that should be on another list. Oh well. We'll talk about that later.
Right.
And I'll have to move it. It shouldn't. Bad TC, didn't catch that. I've caught the rest of them.
Okay. Wind River is, it's got a great cast for one thing.
Yeah.
It's the story of an FBI agent who teams with a game tracker to find out who committed a murder on a Native American reservation. The cast includes Elizabeth Olsen, John Barenthal, Jeremy Renner, Martin Sensmeyer, Julia Jones, Matthew Del Negro, Graham Greene, Gil Birmingham, Kelsey Asbel. I'm sorry, I saw the word Jeremy Renner and I'm like, I'm there.
Well, yeah, we love Jeremy Renner.
We love Jeremy Renner. And I love John Barenthal. I've loved him since The Walking Dead, even though his character was a scumbag. Sorry, but, he was.
You've liked him since, wasn't he in Grudge Match before Walking Dead?
No, he was actually, no.
That was after? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it was actually. No. That's cool. Amnesia. I can't remember what this movie's about.
But I'm Chang.
Well,
these are the jokes, folks.
It's
about the making of the song by 5 Seconds of Summer. No, not really.
You're just pissed because you didn't think of it first.
Yeah, don't try to think of extremely lame jokes first.
Oh, excuse me. Oh, I'm so sorry my stuff doesn't meet up to your standards, Oscar Wilde. I'm just...
Not even close by me. Sorry.
Oh, fine.
No, I mean Oscar Wilde. I can't even come close to that. I'm flattered, but I can't even come close to that.
The Hereafter. Do you know anything about this?
The Hereafter is a film that's also gotten a lot of cinema, a lot of festival play. But it's going to be one of those hits that's when we say sleeper for this film, it's sleeper as far as the indie box office goes.
Mm-hmm.
It is a film from Sweden. John returns home to his father after serving time in prison, looking forward to starting life afresh, but the community are not forgiving or forgetting his crimes. And it has been a huge hit in its native area since October of 2015 when it came out there. It's finally making its way over here. So it has gotten interesting word of mouth.
Midnight Sun is a film that is based on a Japanese film. It is the story of a young woman named Katie who cannot step out into the light. She has a disease that keeps her inside in darkness. And she winds up meeting a young man named Charlie, and they wind up having an epic summer romance, which probably won't end well because that's the way of teen films. This should be interesting because of the cast, if nothing else. The male and female leads, Katie is played by Bella Thorne, and Charlie is played by Patrick Schwarzenegger. Am I wrong in thinking this is his first starring role?
No.
I'm not wrong.
He started he started in Go North too.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Was he okay? All
He's
right.
supporting. So
yeah, but this is the first film where he's the actual male lead.
Yeah, I think that's good and possibly true. Yeah. Another film that's being touted as maybe a sleeper is you can usually bet on something when it's a horror film. Summertime does well with horror films.
Yep.
So Polaroid is expected to do well. It's kind of got The Ring, Final Destination, that type of film. Only this time it's about instant pictures that show up, obviously, hence the name. But it's got, in addition to your usual people involved and stuff like that. Teenage crew like Madeline Petch and Javier Bolet. It's also got Grace Zabriskie from Twin Peaks, right?
Yep.
And Mitch Pileggi and a few other people in roles. Mostly a non-known cast, but it's Harvey Weinstein. He's going to push the hell out of it come August. So it'll be interesting to see how well it takes off. Finally, on the sleepers, I'm sorry. Do you have Tulip Fever?
I do.
Go ahead.
Tulip Fever is a period piece about the tulip mania, news to me, which gripped 17th century Amsterdam, because apparently they had something before pot.
No, Amsterdam. That's hash, not pot.
Oh, sorry. My bad. Just say no, kids. Drugs are bad, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Haney.
This is the story of an artist who is commissioned to paint a young woman who happens to be married, and he is commissioned to paint her portrait and winds up, surprise, falling in love with her. The cast includes Cara Delevingne, Alicia Vikander, Dane DeHaan, Christoph Waltz, Holiday Granger, Zach Galifianakis. So this should be something to watch.
Yep. Finally on this list, Whose Streets will depend on how many theaters it can get into. It's been picked up by, I think, Aborama picked it up, or whatever, however you say that is. I think. I might be wrong. Just sold this week. Out of Tribeca, also at IFFB. It is the true story of the murder. Let's put it murder. Of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri, and the Black Lives Movement that erupted from it. Mm-hmm. It has gotten amazing critical raves. If they can get it into enough theaters, it has potential to become a major hit, and there's all kinds of something. And I'm curious, because they purport to have footage in this film that exonerates Michael Brown of the crime he was supposedly committing. Although people who have seen it says that's an exaggeration. So we'll see what happens, but I'm very curious to see what it is. Mm-hmm. Now, when we come back, we're not going to go over the whole list of indies because there are almost 100 of them coming out. I will have a complete list of those, and these are mostly the smaller films that will be in 5 or 6 theaters on video on demand, and foreign films that are coming over. And they will all have some interest to you, and we will have links to them, or at least dates for them, for you to check out on our website later this week. When we come back, we're going to talk about the last 2 classes of films. Mm-hmm. The class of films, which I don't think are going to be that big, that people are aware of, and the Silverstream Awards, the Silverstream releases. These are films that are premiering primarily on Netflix and are expected to would have been big hits for Oscar, or would have been considered had they been released on the big screen. Mm-hmm. And that will all be coming up
when Subject Cinema returns.
No film is too good or too bad for us. This is Subject Cinema.
All right, Kristen, I am so excited that you've decided to do a podcast with me, but what are we going to do a podcast about? There's so many other movie podcasts. We got to do something original.
Well, I'm a big fan of Disney movies. What about something like that?
That's just kid stuff. What do we want to do that for?
Did you know that The Avengers is a Disney movie? Or that Pulp Fiction is a Disney movie?
Pulp Fiction is not a Disney movie.
It's technically owned by Miramax, which is part of Disney.
We are still going to talk about the Disney animated movies, though, right?
I thought you said that was kid stuff.
Well, I've got 2 kids. I got to be a good dad and stuff.
So be sure to subscribe to the Walt Sent Me podcast, where we discuss the various subsidiaries of the Walt Disney Studios, including the animated movies.
It's available on iTunes, Podomatic, and wherever you find great podcasts. And I swear, it's not kid stuff.
All movies, all the time. Subject Cinema.
Welcome back to Subject Cinema. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
Hi, I'm Kim Brown.
Subject Cinema number 564, our summer blockbuster preview special. Mm-hmm. Over 100 films coming out between this weekend and Labor Day weekend, and it's going to be crazy. Later on this week, on Thursday or Friday, we were going to have a list of all of the films what we're talking about and those we're not talking about on this week's show on the website, where you can find the dates, put them on your calendar, look at it, and say, hey, we want to see this, hey, we don't want to see that. And you may not agree with this next category, the category.
Or if you're a follower of Glove and Boots, you'd call this the meh. category.
Yeah. These are the films that some of them are known, some of them are not that well known. All of them just scream to us, nah, or at least to me. I know there's at least one on here that you're going to argue with. There's two on here that you're going to argue with.
They scream to one of us and not the both of us.
Why is that? Because I do research and you don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also because sometimes you're just a no fun poop head. So, there.
I'm a what?
No fun poop head. You heard me.
I'm insulted.
No, I'm just kidding.
Host the show by yourself.
I'm just kidding. No, well, there's one movie that I know that you really, you haven't liked the whole franchise for the most part. Starting things off on our list of we don't really care movies is Lowriders.
That's not nice. I don't think Lowriders is going to be a bad film. I just don't think it's going to be a hit.
I just don't understand why it was made. I mean, the problem is it's got great people in it. It's the
Headed
story
up by Demian Bashir, which is not a good thing. That's fantastic.
It's a story of a young artist in East LA who is caught between his father's obsession with lowrider car culture. I'm sorry, is it stereotype much? His ex-felon brother and his need for self-expression. The cast includes Melissa Benoist?
Benoist from Supergirl.
Yes, I'm sorry, I can never say her name.
I think it's Benoist.
Eva Longoria, Theo Rossi, Demian Bashir, Tony Revolori.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. No. No.
I feel equal about Snatched. Everybody seems to be thinking that Snatched is going to be a huge hit, but it isn't tracking well. And I feel bad that this is Goldie Hawn's first movie in 17 years. This is like, what? Amy Schumer, Goldie Hawn play mother and daughter get stuck in Thailand or Philippines or somewhere.
They get stuck on vacation and they wind up being kidnapped.
Yeah.
Fun.
The trailer is just ridiculous. And I'm like, are you really... I don't know. Maybe it'll be another Bridesmaids hangover, which I also thought were going to bomb, so I don't know. Take Me. Can you find something on Take Me?
Okay, I'm sorry. What? Okay, I'm reading this straight from the IMDb, so here we go. Ray is a fledgling entrepreneur who specializes in high-end simulated abductions. I'm sorry, is there a need for this?
They do exist, actually.
He jumps at the chance when a mysterious client contacts him for a weekend kidnapping with a handsome payday at the end. But the job isn't all that it seems.
No. Who's in it?
The cast includes Taylor Schilling, Pat Healy, Alicia Delmore, Jim O'Hare, Mark Kelly, Tony Huss, and Alejandro Patino. I'm sorry. Is this a thing?
Yeah.
Is this what rich bored people do? You know,
finish what you were originally going to say. I think you were getting a little un-PC there.
Rich bored white people? That, yeah.
Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Long Haul. Did we really need another one of these insipid things? I am not the target demographic. I never will be. They've recast the entire cast because they all outgrew them. And the trailer sucks.
The books are crazy popular.
The trailer is horrible. I'm just like, oh no, this is not. It'll do well with the crowds, with the kids, but it isn't going to. And it just, it's like what you get when you take Diary of a Wimpy Kid and smoosh it with Vacation. Need I remind you, the Vacation remake bombed.
Yep. The House is on our list of films we can skip.
Another one that's gotten good word of mouth buzz, but I don't see it happening. It's Will Ferrell. His last several films have bombed.
The House is the story of a man who convinces his friends to start an illegal casino in the basement of their house after he and his wife spend their daughter's college fund. So you're irresponsible, bad parents, and doing something illegal. Great.
It might appeal to the Jump Street crowd. I don't know. Here's one that we've been arguing about. Transformers: The Last Night.
Yep. Okay. I'm not the target demographic for this, but I've been a Transformers fan since forever.
But you actually like the trailer for this new movie? You were as confused as I was. And then the second trailer came out, and it didn't make it any better. And it isn't making it any better because there's a bunch of time travel jumping crap in it.
Yeah, I have to be honest. The time travel stuff does make me nervous. Because
and the fourth film was a monster hit at the box office, but the Transformers franchise fans didn't like it very well once they saw it. It got like a B- on Cinema Score. So,
yeah.
I don't know. Rough Night.
Rough Night
has a great cast, but it's a well-worn, overworn premise.
Yeah, I'm like, didn't we already see this? It's the story of a bachelorette party weekend that goes terribly wrong and winds up with the male stripper entertainment winding up dead. I'm sorry, didn't we see this?
It's a comedy.
Didn't we see this a couple of years ago with a cast of dudes called Very Bad Things?
Or The Hangover.
Pretty much the same idea. The cast includes Scarlett Johansson, Zoe Kravitz, Kate McKinnon, Demi Moore, Colton Hayes.
Haynes.
Colton Haynes. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry. They've had this on CSI Miami a few years ago. I don't need to see it again.
Remember what I said a few minutes ago, last segment, about Thomas Mann?
Mm-hmm.
I'd see him in anything?
Yep.
I take that back.
I was going to say, I'm going to hold you to that one.
We don't need another freaking Amityville movie. We do not need one. And it is not going to be a hit. This thing has been sitting on the shelf for 3.5 years. He shot this before he shot Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. And that was 2015. Where the hell? Why? Bella Thorne is the star of it. She's a female rising star, #1 a few years ago. Thomas Mann was also on our list. But he's got a small part, so I'm not really worried. It's the same reason I'm not going to sit down and watch Fargo this season, because he's in 2 episodes. Sorry. No. Okay, another one we violently disagree about.
Yep.
Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yep. I want this to succeed. You want it to fail because you're
I'm
just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I do not want it to fail. But the trailer just completely leaves me flat. And again, it's going in the direction of what we see of the character of turning Tony Stark, as played by Robert Downey Jr., into the major douche nozzle he became in the comics for a while, where he's against everybody that he was friends with. I don't like that version of Tony, and it is going to end up sinking the Marvel Universe if they don't watch it. The fact that he's doing the nasty with Aunt May, according to some rumors I've heard. I mean,
good for her.
We have a great cast. Tom Holland is a great actor, but I'm not convinced he's really right for Peter Parker yet. But I wasn't convinced by Andrew Garfield until I saw the whole movie, and I liked him. And I just didn't. There wasn't enough of him in Civil War to really see him. Marissa Tomei, Robert Downey Jr., plus Tony Revolori is in this. Zendaya is in this. Michael Barbieri is in this. There's a lot of good young actors in this.
Yes. Michael Keaton is playing Adrian Toomes,
the Buzzard,
a.k.a.
right?
The Vulture.
The Vulture. Same thing.
I'm of the opinion this is going to kick butt. I like Tom Holland's portrayal of Spider-Man.
I haven't seen enough of him yet. That's what I said. I wasn't particularly enamored with the version what we saw in Civil War. He's a little too flipped for me.
But that's the way Spider-Man's supposed to be. He's a teenager. He's supposed
Then shouldn't
to
he be called Spider-Teen? Or Spider-Boy? No, he's going by Spider-Man. Anyway, I don't think... this is my own personal feeling, but the buzz is not there for this film. It's not there for Transformers. It's not there for Spider-Man. Yet, the comic geeks are going nuts. The general buzz is like, another Spider-Man movie?
Well,
so we'll see what happens.
I think people...
That's why it's on this list. Not because I don't like it. It's on this list. I don't like Guardians of the Galaxy either, and it's on the blockbuster list. I don't think this is going to succeed. I honestly don't.
Okay.
And this one, who in their right mind approved the Emoji Movie? Honestly. Really? Do we need this? You can jump in anytime.
No, I'm sorry.
This is one of my soapbox movies. Don't get me started. The idea...
For those of us who thought that the Angry Birds movie was a terrible idea, but it actually went somewhere.
Yeah, it actually turned out to be a hit, which surprised me.
The Emoji Movie, which is the story of Gene, voiced by T.J. Miller, who wants to become a normal emoji. I have no idea what in the blue hell a normal emoji is. Excuse me. All I know is I really don't care.
Yeah. Once Upon a Time in Venice, new action film. Bruce Willis doesn't really care about being in it. There's your answer as to why that's going to bomb. Inconceivable, new action film with Nicolas Cage. Doesn't really care about being in this film. There's your reason why that's going to bomb. Finally, The Nut Job 2, Nutty by Nature. The first one wasn't a big hit, so the second one's probably not going to do that well either. These are the ones that are the category. That's the big ones and the ones that we need to point out. Now, time to get Netflix involved. Mm-hmm. Netflix is premiering 7 films that are getting all kinds of buzz this summer. Some of them may get a theatrical release for 1 week if you have an iPic luxury theater near you. I don't know whether they will or not. We'll try. Sahara. This one blows my mind. This was a huge hit in France last year. It is an animated film from the same people, I think, that did Little Prince, from one of the major French animation companies. But the thing that blows my mind is this movie has so many built-ins against it that it's scary, because all of the protagonists in this film, the heroes, the villains, everybody you're supposed to enjoy watching, are all types of poisonous snakes, with a scorpion thrown in. I'm like, anybody who has a thing about snakes, not going to be watching this movie. If you have a problem with snakes, problem. If you have a problem with scorpions,
bugs, problem. Although a scorpion is technically an arachnid, still. Yeah. This movie is going to...
It got rave reviews in France, but it's like, I don't see this being a hit in America. I really don't.
This movie's going to send a lot of people screaming to their therapists.
Now, the reason we got to be honest, we'll never know for sure. Netflix refuses to issue numbers, so we'll never know for sure. The Incredible Jessica James, this is what I caught when we were doing it. I missed it earlier. Comedy, relationship comedy, making the festival rounds right now. It's picked up by Netflix, will premiere this summer. Handsome, a Netflix mystery movie, which should actually be a Netflix parody mystery. Jeff Garlin as a private detective. War Machine, new war satire film starring Brad Pitt. Okja, O-K-J-A, is that Okja? Based on a classic character, I believe from Japanese mythology or Chinese mythology, with Tilda Swinton. Death Note, one of the most talked about films around because of this whitewashing controversy that really doesn't exist with this film, and I don't want to get into it because it's an adaptation. It's not it's an American adaptation of a Japanese manga. It's never had Japanese characters in it, so I don't see how you could whitewash it. Nat Wolff, the star of that, and Brain on Fire, which got great reviews at Toronto last year. Again, Chloe Grace Moretz, Thomas Mann, Richard Armitage, about a true story of a journalist who was suddenly stricken with a mysterious disease, and the family and the boyfriend and the doctor that rallied to help save her life. Got really good notices in Toronto last year. So those are the big ones. Now, as I said, we're going to have a list of almost 100 indies up, and they're just too hard to find everything, and the show would run 9 hours if we went through all of them. But I will have the list up and the dates up and have it linked up, hopefully links to the films themselves so I can find them, where you can look at them later in the week. There are 3 films that are buzzed on that may get summer release spots that are as present uncommitted, or 2 of them are. One of them is The Disaster Artist. We've talked about this endlessly. It is the story of the making of Tommy Wiseau's The Room, with James Franco, Dave Franco, Zac Efron, Josh Hutcherson, Jackie Weaver, a whole bunch of people, Sharon Stone. It got raves at South by Southwest. The critics were saying it's going to win an Oscar for James Franco. Yep. Which I'm floored by. Can you imagine James Franco winning an Oscar for playing Tommy Wiseau? That's scary.
In a movie, about a movie that should actually, if they showed it at Gitmo, it would be considered torture.
This could end up on the summer release schedule. Flower, which just premiered at Tribeca and was picked up by A13, I think it was. I'm not sure. Is a coming-of-age comedy / mystery thing with and I've forgotten her name, Zoe. She was on the Rising Stars list a couple years ago. So sorry, it's completely lost me. And the kid that plays Augie in Scout's Guide are the 2 stars of this, and so the critics have been raving about this film. How it's wonderful to have a film like this with a female protagonist.
Right. It's about damn time.
Yeah. The other one is a film that has a date right now, but actually over the last week has had some buzz online that they're thinking of pushing it forward to August after it landed an October release date. And that is the dark comedy, true story, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. If you've not seen the Red Band trailer for this movie, please watch it. It is freaking hysterical. And it's the true story of a woman who bought 3 billboards after her daughter was murdered, and the local police didn't really want to do anything about it. So she bought 3 billboards slamming the authorities and everybody else, demanding to know why there isn't justice done. Frances McDormand plays the upset mother. It also has Woody Harrelson, Caleb Landry Jones, a whole great list of people. And it's scheduled right now for October. It is being positioned for Oscar season, but they have said last couple of weeks said they're thinking about August 25th. And the reason I think about that is because they want to show it at Telluride. Telluride is that last weekend, and they want to move it up. So I'm like, okay, because it'll probably premiere otherwise at Toronto. So it'll be like, okay, what's going on? These are the summer films, folks. You've got tons of films here to choose from.
Yeah.
Of everything out there, what one film is absolutely cannot miss for you?
Out of everything?
Everything. Put you on the spot.
I would say Wonder Woman. For me, that's real. I really want to see somebody do this character right on the big screen. What we saw of Gal Gadot in Batman vs. Superman was a great start. I want to see them build that up so that she is a powerful, strong, amazing character that little girls and not so little girls can look up to. Mm-hmm. We deserve that.
Yes, you do. Mine would be Valerian and the city, the city of 1,000 planets. I have been on this film since I first saw the trailer. Love Dane DeHaan, love the special effects, love the 3D. Luc Besson, directing, writing. I think this is a can't miss for me, a no-brainer for me. And I want to see it in 4D because I want to feel flying around and shaking and pooping and getting the buzzes and the scents and the air and everything. It'll be a blast. Coming up, we got a few more things, so stick around.
Subject Cinema will be right back.
Welcome to the soundtrack of your life. You're listening to Subject Cinema with T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown.
So this thing we want to do, what exactly is it?
I think it's a podcast.
I think he just made that word up.
Anyway, what would it be about?
It can be about those things we see in the things, with the pictures and the acting, and sometimes Ryan Gosling.
Oh, you mean films?
Yeah, those. We can talk about those.
And Ryan Gosling.
And what would we call it?
Women who speak weirdly?
Ladies, young ladies, all the single ladies.
Oh wait, I know. Chicks with accents.
Yeah, and we could use that song from the Beatles and that movie, Across the Universe.
Cool.
Yeah.
Listen to the Across the Universe podcast.
Brought to you by the Chicks with Accents.
Available just about everywhere.
We've got the films you're looking for. Subject Cinema with TC and Kim.
It's time for the first Moon 13 report.
Yes.
The new season of Mystery Science Theater 3000 is winging its way around the world thanks to Netflix. New cast, new movies, new jokes, old robots, new voices. Interesting stuff. We're going to review.
On the moon. How did it get there?
We're going to talk about each episode as well as the movie therein as we get through them. We've seen 4 of them so far.
Yes.
We're only going to do the first 2 this week, and they'll be weekly after this throughout the spring and summer, and we hope that you'll be listening to them. Kicking things off with the debut episode, which looked at one of the movies that we have been dying for somebody to riff on.
Yes.
1962's Reptilicus. 61's Reptilicus. Yes. That legendary Swedish? No. Dutch.
Danish.
Dutch. Danish. That is Dutch, isn't it? Danish and Dutch are the same thing?
Yes.
I
don't know.
The Netherlands.
Denmark. It's Denmark. Yeah. Okay. The movie that proves that you should really leave the kaiju to Japan. Reptilicus is the story of what happens when a piece of a giant prehistoric monster gets found in a drilling expedition in Lapland. It turns out that it's a section of tail. So they were actually showing somebody getting a piece of tail on a movie in the 60s.
You walked all over my joke.
And it didn't have any bow chicka bow bow music with it either. The tail is brought to the Danish aquarium in beautiful downtown Copenhagen, where it is put in cold storage because, let's face it, it's a slab of meat. And through some wacky machinations, the cold storage part doesn't stay cold for very long, and the storage part doesn't stay storagey for very long, because once this piece of flesh gets back up to room temperature, it actually begins regenerating. Somehow.
Dun, dun, dun.
Don't ask us how. And winds up going from this rather, like, about tabletop-sized piece of meatloaf into growing into an actual fully grown, rampaging, dragon-like monster that winds up being labeled Reptilicus, which then proceeds to rampage its marionette-like way through the Danish countryside and cities, causing mayhem, chaos, panic, and on-screen neon green loogies.
Right. Yeah. Reptilicus is just one of the worst monster films ever made. It just is horrible.
It is really
the plot lines are horrible. The acting is horrible. The hero is so blonde. And then you have that horrible monster, the marionette.
Okay, first of all, I beg to differ. I contend that the actual idea behind Reptilicus is actually an interesting idea. You've got this giant monster rampaging about, causing destruction, mayhem, chaos, etc.
If you split it apart, it can grow into all new ones.
Yeah, see, there you run into the issue. The army can't do the usual army thing, i.e. blow it up, because if you do
blow it up, it has to be completely obliterated.
Yeah, if you blow it up, it's going to regenerate into more monsters.
Right.
Now, if this was actually done by somebody who knew what the hell they were doing, you might actually have an interesting film. Unfortunately, we are not in that universe. We're in this one.
We get the Danish Tommy Wiseau directing.
And we get this.
It's not a great film.
For those of you who have watched kaiju films all your lives, like me, and there are some bad kaiju films out there. I will be the first to admit that.
Gappa angry!
Fine. The Gappa movie is terrible. Fine. I will be the first to admit that some of the Godzilla movies are not the best. Considering...
no, really?
Considering the fact that Gojira is such a masterpiece and Godzilla King of the Monsters does have its charms, I will be the first to admit that there are some kaiju movies that are just straight up terrible. However, those all look like they've been directed by Orson freaking Welles compared to this monstrosity.
Yep.
You're dealing...
see what you did there? Monstrosity. Monstrosity.
Yeah, I'm a genius that way. Considering the fact that you deal with, in your average kaiju movies, dealing with a guy in a dumpy suit, and occasionally that can look pretty bad. That ain't nothing on this. This film, we don't even get the luxury of a guy in a suit. Oh no, we're dealing with a marionette, and not even a good marionette. We're dealing with this dopey-looking sort of dragon-esque thing that can't shut its mouth. It walks around all day looking like it's had a cold, where it can't, breathe through its nose because it's got sinus issues. Its mouth is just hanging open like a golden retriever waiting for you to throw the ball. And
that's a good description.
It's got these little teeny tiny wings that are useless. It's got these little floppy T-Rex arms that are useless. It's basically just useless. And this is the film that Mystery Science Theater 3000 decided to come back with.
Now, when we come back with this, we get a brand new origin plot line.
Yes.
Jonah Heston has been up there for a month at the time, or 2 months at the time this show starts.
Yes. Jonah Heston is another poor slob, although he's not a slob, he's actually quite nice. He's another poor fellow that is working for the Gizmonics Institute, was on his way back from a mining mission out in space in his little space hopper kind of space buggy thing, and he gets a distress call from the dark side of the moon. Why do I want to watch The Wizard of Oz right now? Anyway, I digress. He winds up going to check out the distress call because Jonah Heston is apparently
a good person.
And gullible. Quite a nice chap. But the problem is, it turns out, to quote Admiral Akbar, it's a trap! This is a trap that has been set by the evil, if somewhat inept, Kinga Forrester, daughter of Dr. Clayton Forrester, and the idea that anyone laid down with him in the biblical sense is enough to make me want to throw up in my mouth a little bit. Sorry, Trace. Kinga is determined to continue the Forrester experiment, the grand Forrester experiment of trying to find a film that is so horrible that it will break a human being's mind, and she intends to use this to rule the world.
Why didn't that happen with Red Zone Cuba? Well, it almost happened with the second film we'll talk about here in a couple minutes.
Because the human spirit is made of stronger stuff.
Her sidekick is TV's son of TV's Frank. Yes. There's a scary thought right there. If you thought Clayton was bad, who had it with TV's Frank?
I've had it with TV's Frank.
His name is Max,
His name is Max, yes. So, Jonah is now the guinea pig on the Satellite of Love with Crotty Robot, Tom Servo, and a redone gypsy. She no longer comes up through the floor. She drops down from the ceiling.
Like a creepy snake.
That's not very nice.
No, I'm not saying that. It's just how they designed it. It's creepy.
I don't think it's creepy at all.
Practical, yes. Creepy, yes. Sorry.
So, that's where we are. Kinga has also something that actually Dr. Forrester didn't have, a band. Her band, the Skeleton Crew, who
play their saxophones without any gaps in their helmets at all.
Yeah, I'm like, how the hell do you have a brass section that can't reach the mouthpiece?
The fun thing about this is it actually comes with interstitial breaks.
Sorry.
Which I think is interesting that they're putting commercial breaks in when there are no commercials because it's on Netflix. Obviously, they had planned to sell this to a commercial network, and so when they commence season 12, the second revival season, eventually, and I'm pretty sure it'll happen, that they may just go ahead forward without the breaks, although I think the breaks have a kind of quirky charm to them.
I do too.
So
I'm sorry
even though Patton Oswalt is doing the voiceovers.
I do apologize about the ranting about the Skeleton Crew. It's the band geek in me. I can't help it.
It's funny as hell, though. We got a list of great stars. Jonah Reyes is Jonah. I'm sorry. Felicia Day is
Felicia
Kinga.
Day, we're not worthy as Kinga. Peyton Oswalt as Max. And the voices of Hampton Yount as Crotty Robot, Baron Vaughn as Tom Servo, Rebecca Hansen, who voices Gypsy and also appears on screen as Cynthia, who
That's
is
the kind of Mrs. Forrester clone.
Yeah, she's a Mrs. Forrester.
She looks a lot like Mary Jo.
She does.
Deal.
She's a Mrs. Forrester clone, and isn't actually a terribly good one. You know, clones don't. You know, I guess humans don't clone as well as sheep.
And did we get our first guest star in that one, or was that?
Well, the guest cast we got was at the beginning. The two people.
Oh yes, the people running the Gizmonic Institute practice.
Yes, Martha Masters, played by Buck Rogers star Aaron Gray, and Drake,
her control operator.
Yes, played by Will Wheaton.
Hey, Will, been packing on the pounds there. You need to think about dieting.
Oh my gosh, that's so mean. You're such a bitch.
I know. I can be. Anyway,
I have to say, I actually have never enjoyed Will Wheaton more because I was a card carrying.
He was only on for two seconds.
Yeah, but his character was fun, and considering the fact that I was a card carrying member of the Let's Boot Wesley Crusher Out and Airlock in His Underpants Club, it was your character, Will. It wasn't you. I'm sure you're a lovely human being. I have to be honest. I was like waiting for this like a junkie waiting for a fix, and
it's good.
Oh,
we had a good time.
Oh.
On the second film, however.
Oh.
We're going to move on to the second film. And, oh my God! This is pain in an excruciating, not even funny way, despite their best efforts to make it so.
I would like to bring up the host segments in Reptilicus, which included the song Every Country Has a Monster. Fantastic.
Yeah, they were great.
Totally
it was
love
awesome.
That song, running around with my...
They're back in old form. It's very quickly to see.
They're back, baby, as George Costanza would say. Then that leads us into episode 2. Oh, sweet.
Never again, please, never again.
Oh, sweet Caroline.
Cry Wilderness from 1978.
Yeah, by the end of Cry Wilderness, I was ready to cry.
No, 1987, I'm sorry. 1987. Backwards. A little dyslexic. This is terrible. Tell us a little bit about the plot, such as it was. Do I have to?
Cry Wilderness. Boy, what can we say about
Wilderness?
Really?
You said to Cry Wilderness. Wilderness. How's that one?
Oh, man. What can we say?
Which is how we felt throughout most of this film.
What can we say about this movie that doesn't involve the F-bomb? Nothing.
Not much, so we better just
We'll be here for 5 minutes in silence. 1987's Cry Wilderness is the story of a young boy named Paul who is at a boarding school and receives a warning that his father is in danger. His father works at a park far away from him, national park kind of a thing. Paul receives this psychic message from his friend Bigfoot.
Yes, that Bigfoot.
Yes, that.
Supposedly.
As opposed to whom? Paul apparently met Bigfoot the summer before, and they bonded and became friends, and Paul brought
over
him...
rock music and Pepsi. No, Coke.
Coca-Cola.
Who must have been a sponsor for this, for all the stuff they had in it. Oh, wow.
Oh, gosh.
The acting's terrible, the writing's terrible, everything is terrible about this film. The little kid is terrible, the dad is terrible, his sidekick is terrible. Everything is terrible. It's just, although we did get a big shock when we thought that, the big monster that's been herding cattle and stuff in the area where his dad works does not turn out to be Bigfoot.
No. The story continues with Paul making his way to his father, who is hunting along with his Native American friend. They're hunting some creature that's harming the local, cattle and wildlife and stuff like that. And they're being joined by this incredibly obnoxious alpha male twit or at least what passes for one in this film, tracker who intends to track down and kill Bigfoot, and so on and so forth. And good God, this movie hurts.
It's bad.
This movie is insulting to Native Americans. It's insulting to Bigfoot. It's insulting to animals. It's insulting to raccoons.
And insulting to the intelligence of the audience trying to watch it.
Yeah. Cry Wilderness, by the end of this movie, I was crying enough. The segments were really funny. The segments in between the dreadful movie. I feel bad that these guys had to watch this piece of shite. The segment I liked the best was actually segment 2, where Crow and Tom decide to dress as characters from the film and be as sweetly adorable as the characters are in the film. Said characters are actually 2 baby raccoons who are ripping up a kitchen, doing what a normal wild animal would do when you drop it into a kitchen, tearing stuff apart, trying to find food. While everybody stands in the doorway and laughs at the cute, sweet
fake
little...
laughs.
Yeah, the cute, sweet little flea...
That's a fake laugh.
It's flea-ridden.
That's not real laughter. You want to hear real laughter, you watch over there.
Possibly rabid raccoons. This movie is so unbearably painful. I feel these guys deserved a medal. I feel these guys deserved sainthood for watching this film and actually trying to make it watchable. We got a visit during this segment from some old friends. In Pearl, Forrester, Professor Bobo, and Brain Guy wind up accidentally showing up. There is so much wrong with this film. And
like the fact that it exists.
That would be the big one. That would be the absolute biggest one.
I truly loathe the classic Misty episode, The Final Sacrifice. Because I can't stand the movie. But by the first 20 minutes of this movie, I was begging Rousdower to show up. It's like so were Tom and Crow.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, wow.
But
okay.
Seriously, this was just another example of how these guys can take a film that is absolutely unbloody bearable and make it
unbloody bearable, but a little less so.
Well, I wouldn't go as far as to say watchable, but at least entertaining, because if they have to suffer through it, we might as well suffer too.
Guest shots in this one
Guest shots in this, as I mentioned, were Mary Jo Pehl as Pearl, Bill Corbett as Brain Guy, and Kevin Murphy as Professor Bobo. That was really awesome.
It was.
I'm so happy this show is back.
I am too. It's been a blast so far.
Happy.
We haven't had time this last week to do more than the first 4, but it's a blast. We'll be covering them all year as long as they run, and then when they run out of these, we're going to start doing some of the classic shows, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yes.
The Moon 13 report will return on the next show.
Push the button, TC.
The best movies. Subject Cinema.
We mentioned earlier we had a freeze frame to do. We're going to save it for next week because this show's going to run extraordinarily long if we do not. So, once again, we have all the films up. We'll have a whole list of them, and hopefully with links to all of them, as many as I can find, coming up later this week, probably Friday. And I hope that you will check it out. There are tons of movies coming out this summer. Now, we have a couple of big announcements. We have another couple of big announcements next week. The first big announcement is all about Marvelous May. We said earlier in the show that we were going to revisit a couple of old shows. I've been listening to some of the older subject cinemas lately because we're going to be doing some serious maintenance on the show over the next few months. And this is going to be one of the things I think we should do occasionally. If a show we ran years ago has out-of-date information, we're going to do an update.
Yep.
There's so much that have changed in 2 particular shows we did as a back-to-back public service weekend in 2010, I believe it was, that it's time to look at them all over again. So over the next 2 weeks...
Together again for the first time.
Thank you for that non sequitur. For the next 2 weeks, we're going to be bringing you these 2 special updated shows. Next week, Subject Cinema will bring you A Theater Near You Revisited. We're going to talk about all your theaters and how you can get involved with your local theaters, how you can do things, and now new options that have sprung up over the last 7 or 8 years that weren't there before.
Yep.
And then the following week, Subject Cinema number 566, we will be going back on the other side to Movies in Your Own Backyard Revisited. Again, this will talk about how things stack up in your area, all the new options that are out there for you. I mean, when we did the first show, Kickstarter wasn't out there. Tug wasn't out there. Whole bunch of stuff. All these apps that are now available were not out there. MoviePass wasn't out there. So there's all these kind of options, and we're going to go over those again for everybody.
Yep.
We'll have tons of links for you, and we hope that you'll watch them, listen to the show, and use them to make your movie-going experience much better than it already is.
Yeah.
Now, the following weekend, Subject Cinema number 567 and 568 is a double feature weekend. We will be doing 2 full shows, Saturday and Sunday, May 20th, 21st, day and date, the 7th or 8th annual Boston Springs Festival. We will have coverage of all 9 festivals and theatrical stuff and reviews from some of the films and all kinds of stuff, plus our usual regular features, and we hope that you will be there for that. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
The festival circuit has been nuts up here this year, and a lot of fun, and we hope that you will be ready for that.
Yep.
The week after that is Memorial Day weekend, and starting Memorial Day weekend, we're going to have something really special starting for the entire summer, and we will talk about what that is and reveal it to you on next week's Subject Cinema.
So
and we will also have an announcement concerning the 2017 12th annual eCinema One Rising Stars honors to make also. Some changes there this year, and we'll talk about that. Both of those will be coming up next week. Now, don't forget to check out all of our shows. Kim is back with Platinum Rose's Garden after 2 weeks of sick.
Yep, I am back. This week's episode of Platinum Rose's Garden, I am doing 2 Supernatural episode reviews.
It's two demons in one.
Thank you.
Carbon date, anybody?
All right. I will be reviewing. Nuts. Let me do it again.
Okay.
Future and. What the hell else was before the future?
The people's something people.
Oh, the memory remains. Okay. Yep, I am back this week on Platinum Rose's Garden. I am trying to recover from my cold, so I have 2 episode reviews to do from Supernatural.
It's two demons in one.
Thank you. I will be.
When I get famous, I'll remember not to remember you.
I will be reviewing the episodes "The Memory Remains" and "The Future." So I hope you guys will come in.
What? Sorry.
What are you snickering about? It is not.
I'm just thinking about how relevant and ironic that first one was, considering what happened a minute ago.
Shut up.
Which has been edited out of the show, so you aren't going to get to hear it anyway.
I love you, but bite me. So I hope you guys will come and check me out over at PlatinumRosesGarden.com. And if you would like to follow me on Twitter, I am over on Twitter.com at PlatinumRoseL. You can check me out over there as well, and I hope you will.
Thursday brings back Front Row 5 and 10. Finally, we're going to get to our top 10 WTF moments, which was supposed to be on 4 weeks ago. We hope you'll be back for that. Wednesday, finally, the return of Catastrophe Vortex with yours truly. All disaster movies all the time. San Andreas this week, plus a couple of other things I'm anxious to talk about, and we'll hope you'll be back. I'm sorry it didn't come back this week. It was just too crazy. But it will be back Wednesday. CatastropheVortex.com. Don't forget our mini shows, 3 Minute Weekend and Tuesday Digidex. 3 Minute Weekend on Friday, Tuesday Digidex. On Tuesday, rundowns of all the new releases, theaters, DVD, and more. And Gay Babble with Eric and Valerie Lyon. They're kind of on a semi-hiatus right now. Hoping to do some more shows. And next week also, we will have an announcement about another show joining the PNRNetworks list of lineup of shows. We have all kinds of big announcements next week. I had something else I wanted to go over, and I can't remember what it was. It was popping in my head, popping in and out. And it was important too. Obviously, we're going to be having coverage of as we continue wrapping up the Boston Springs Festival stuff over on eCinema Boston. You want to see all the stuff we've been talking about, lineups of all these incredible festivals. You can check it out every day during the remainder of the IFFB at eCinemaBoston.com. And you can also check our regular website, eCinema1.com. More new stuff happening there all the time. So come over and check that out. Don't forget, we have a speak pipe you can leave us voice messages on if you'd like to. Links in the show notes. You can click on it, record right from your computer or phone, up to 5 minutes. We'd love to have you do that. Or you can write to us, subjectcinema@PNRNetworks.com. And we did have a toll-free number, but that's been about to be replaced. And please take the time, if you could, to join our Patreon campaign. We're still in need of lots of equipment, still in need of Patreon supporters, and we hope you'll join us. Check out all the perks and information at patreon.com/PNRNetworks. Everything going good?
I think that's it.
Let's get out of here then. For Subject Cinema, I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
May your popcorn always be buttered.
And may your roses always be in bloom.
To the movies!
You have been listening to Subject Cinema with hosts T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown. Subject Cinema is produced by PNRNetworks, Boston, Massachusetts, which is solely responsible for its content. Subject Cinema theme performed by Eric Lyon. Subject Cinema is recorded and produced using Sony Vegas products. Subject Cinema is copyright 2017 by PNRNetworks under a Creative Commons license. Check out a new episode of Subject Cinema every weekend. Until next time, this is Bob Taylor for Subject Cinema, and we'll see you at the movies.
That's all.
Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.